Okay. And Western Community Development Area Community Advisory Committee, February 26th at 5:27 at 2024, lastly, creating a history foundation building at Tico Hall, 2306 North Howard Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 32607. I want to welcome everyone here, and I'm going to tell you from the offset, we got a packed agenda and a packed house. And I don't know how long these presentations are, I don't remember them 5 minutes, because we've got other business on here to do, and unless y'all want to be here all night. I don't think I'm going to be here all night. I want to try to get this meeting conducted within 2 hours, Mr. Vice Chair, since we got a packed house, we got a lot of information. But, you know, if you guys can go over on questions, this presentation, then just let me know, we'll do it, but just be willing to stay here, because we have a very important decision to make that is not necessarily on this agenda. And I just say this open up, before we get to trouble coming. Before I do that, let's get a roll call if I can from somebody, so we'll know we got a quorum if I can start running them out about stuff. Okay?
Yes, sir. Joseph Robinson.
Here.
Carlos Ramirez.
Here.
Michael Braccio.
Here.
Sandra Sanchez. Here. Janice Williams. Here. Bobby Wilson.
Here.
Great. Jeanette Benton.
Here.
Tina Young. Not here. Keen Baston.
Here.
Where are you hiding?
Back here.
Hi. Walter Smith. Delphine Jones. Here. Cynthia Maloney. Here. Great.
Okay, Ms. Tina Young had expressed that she would be in Tallahassee, so she has, she was absent. And Mr. Walter Smith called me a few minutes ago. He's got a bad ankle and sick. Maybe a third Tuesday at 5:30. I said, I don't know. Maybe Wednesday, I don't know. So keep that in your head. We need to make a decision, else we're gonna be having this back and forth with no decisions made. So I just want you to know that up front, yes, Mr. Sutton.
My question, first of all, is this a temporary situation? I'm hoping that this is just until Mr. Nino is replaced, or?
Let's, before you go there, you turn it over, let's just, let Mrs., I'm gonna go ahead as the chair, and I'm gonna have to go ahead and move you up, Ms. Erica Moody, because I wanted to get that, because it's not on here about changing the date, is it?
Yes.
Week date change? Okay, I want to get that out of the way, because I know how these meetings go. People start getting tired, and people get ready to leave, and I want to get this out of the way now, as your brain is fresh and fresh on your mind. Why don't you go ahead, I'm gonna move you up before policing, even before approving the resolution. I'm gonna just move you up just on the issue of the date change and announcement intermittent, because they're gonna be related. And then we'll go from there. So let's just take care of item 6. 6A and 2 now on reports. And then we'll go back on the regular order on the agenda, okay?
Okay, including public comment.
Yeah, we'll get the public comment.
All right, sounds good.
They can comment
Good
on
evening.
this, but you might want to present it so they can comment on it, because they're looking at it, doesn't really say anything.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Moody, and I get the privilege of being the CRA director. I love everyone here today and having a packed room. We have a packed agenda and a lot of great business going forward. So thank you for dedicating your evening to being here with us. So the question it was around the CRA manager. So there is a CRA manager appointed to each district. Tampa CRA has 8 different districts. West Tampa is one of them. If you're not aware, the redevelopment agency has been going through a restructure, so we can just streamline our efficiencies, get money out the door faster, and provide grants and just move these projects through on an annual basis. So previously, the CRA manager was expected to manage all of the projects, implement all of the grants, do all the administrative functions, manage our programmatic vendors like the clean team that we have in West Tampa, and they did all of that as one individual, and they also had an assistant that helped them. So that's a large specialty in ground to cover to be a professional grant administration manager, a project manager. So part of this restructure and what I've been doing for the last 8 months is establishing divisions. So we now have a projects team, a grants team, a housing team, an administrative team, and then we have our CRA managers. So with that, a lot of their job has been delegated to these working units. So now CRA manager, previously Jesus Nino, and this manager will not be implementing grants. They'll be working with the grants team to have them implemented. They will not be managing our capital improvement projects. They'll be working with our senior project manager to make sure that they're moving along. And really their job is to be a really good community liaison, be out here on the grounds, building relationships, communicating these changes, and also selling our programs and letting you all know what type of resources we have available. So we're moving into our commercial economic grants discussion today, so you'll see that division in action, so we're excited about that. And the question was around if the interim is a permanent thing or a temporary thing. It is a permanent thing. So with that, a lot of their job has been delegated, and now they are really focused on community liaisoning. So we will meet Brenda Thrower as soon as she is done with Ybor. She will come over to West Tampa, and we're working towards that being a permanent change. So so they can just continue to do their work there. But the question is, why are we reducing from 3 CRA managers from 4 to 3? And it's because we can make them more efficient with 3, give them an additional district, and they can all work across the board. Additionally, our team will continue to support each other, so we'll have more support. The 1 CRA manager was the only one, in this room with their assistant running the whole meeting. So you'll get to meet our team today. We want to put ourselves out there more, and you'll see it in action today. So I just wanted to answer that question, but I know a lot of people in the room might not know the background. So I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Well, hold on, that's the first thing. The other thing is, I want to get this
End
date.
of the date, yes. So right now, we have a couple CAC meetings that happen on the same night. And in order for us to just rally as a team and make our rounds in the community, we're trying to spread them out more. And I wish I could be in 2 places at once, but we just can't. And we have the Ybor CAC meeting that meets on this day at 4:30. And then we also have this group that meets at 5:30. So Chair Robinson is posing the discussion around potentially changing the date, what that looks like. We reached out to the Hillsborough Education Foundation here, and they do have the 3rd Tuesday available at this time. And right now we need the 4th Tuesday. They do have the 3rd Tuesday available, so that's what I was put out for discussion. But if there's something that works for the group, we can just see when this date is available.
Okay. Thank you for that open statement. Both committee members, do y'all have any idea? Yes, back to you, Jeanette.
Well, before we discuss potential changing of dates, can we not have a discussion about what this advisory committee thinks about the proposal of splitting the function between Ybor and West Tampa, as opposed to having 1 person for West Tampa and 1 person for Ybor? I mean, I personally would like to have a full-time person for West Tampa, not split between Ybor and West Tampa. I don't know what the other committee members.
All right, since that's gonna be a lengthy discussion, what we're gonna do is we're gonna, now you heard the open statement, we're gonna go back to public comment and development, because that's gonna take a while. Y'all just get ready to be here tonight, but I just wanna make sure you get the public in, you got a big crowd, I just want to warm you up, so as we're going through this agenda, this is what, that's gonna have to be addressed when we get back to it, on the reports. Okay, this is Sandy stuff.
Are we waiting or are we coming?
No, we're going to public comment right now.
Okay.
And then we're gonna come back, because I know that's gonna be a lengthy discussion, I want the public waiting. So with that said, we're gonna go to public comment. You'll have 3 minutes to make comments, and, if you can, give your name and there's a mic out there for the public to speak in, so we can hear, not the kids. And, if you would state your name and you have 3 minutes to speak, I don't know who's trying. Who's trying? Somebody else.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Patterson, and I grew up in the historical West Tampa area, projects over there, and I own property here. I've been dealing with the CRA for over 5 years, trying to build on my property, and it started with Jesus. And Jesus gave me hope, but at the very end, it's 5 years later, and I haven't been able to see how they can assist me. Now, what's happening now, I've been out twice in my own neighborhood. You know, it's hard for me to build in my own neighborhood. So I needed to know how their funds and grants available to help senior citizens, which I am now, build in their own neighborhood. And another thing the community brought to my attention was the fact that both parts of Main Street are closed. Now, I understand that you're redeveloping, but the community say, why close both parts? What you're saying to us is you don't want us here. That's what the community is saying. Because last year we had Juneteenth at the park on the other end, now it's all fenced up. And that, we plan to do that in June. So the community say, why close both parts? Do one first and finish it and then do the other one. You see? So we feel in the community that our voice doesn't count. Our voice doesn't count. Things happen. We tried to search the internet. We didn't see a website. We didn't, Jesus used to send us out information. We don't even get that anymore. And it's like decisions are being made in our neighborhood without our consent.
Absolutely.
And that's all I got to say.
Okay. Thank you. Next person.
Good afternoon, my name is Clay Walker. I own a home at 1923 West Pine Street, which is directly across from the big Cigar Loft development, which I'm very happy to see happening. But I think that the worst thing that's happened to that neighborhood is the blocking of Pine and Walnut, and most likely Cherry and the other street just north of it, at least with those you can move through, whereas Pine and Walnut are absolute dead ends. They don't even have a proper cul-de-sac at the end, you have to stop and do a 3-point turn. I don't really understand why these streets were ever blocked. I was told that it was to reduce crime, but if that was the effort, it's absolutely backfired, because all it's led to is a place for people to loiter and play loud music and do drugs and blatantly deal drugs. It is a real problem in the 1900 block of Pine Street. The carpenter who's working on my house right now has a gentleman come busting right through the gate into the backyard through their drug deal, and he was back there working a saw, and they threatened him. And I just want to understand why these streets are reopened. I understand there's a linear park there, but these streets could easily be opened and a crosswalk put in and some speed tables put in so that people would know that there's a crosswalk coming up and have a sign there striping, and you could still have your linear park and open these streets. The city is now spending a fortune redeveloping between the river and Rome, and if these streets were open, that redevelopment would flow on into West Tampa, and that money would come in, and people would redevelop and bring up the tax base and improve the neighborhoods. And I just don't understand why these streets are blocked, why they were ever blocked, and they weren't properly blocked. Like I said, there's not even a cul-de-sac. You can't even turn around down there. You have to like pull this one's driveway and turn around. And these streets should be reopened. There's just not a good reason to have them closed, in my opinion. And I would appreciate some thought put into that, and the idea that it will help bring development over into this part of the neighborhood and what the city's already doing on the east side of there. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Next speaker. Is anyone else wants to be missed for public comment?
Good evening. My name is Gail Williams, and I'm a West Tampa resident, have been for quite a long time. I'm here today because of the alleyway. I went to this meeting, I think a couple of weeks ago. And it didn't seem like it was for me. This doesn't even seem like it's for me. My alley, they seem to be more interested in the commercial businesses that's in the area. That's not me.
Not us either.
My alley is so full of grass and debris that we cannot go through the alley at all. And so I think in some areas the alleyway has been cleaned up, but mine has not. It hadn't been for years. What my lineman may do, he'll come on the outside, but no one else does that. So we need someone to come through, at least initially, and take care of the alley. I live between Rome and Oregon, and it's really bad. They spoke about sending the deal with that to the neighbors. I don't know if they did that actually. The other thing is Rome, the traffic is horrendous. I don't know who to speak to about speed bumps, but they could definitely use it between Cypress and Maine on Rome. The police, I don't know where they are in the area. They're speeding there. There are people racing up and down my street. My area was not Hyde Park, but it was a nice area. And right now, with all the developers in the area and people buying their homes and they're renting it out to the students, you know, it's not even safe. My dog was sick a few months ago by somebody racing down the street. I think more needs to be done in our area. If the CRA is for the people in the area, then it's high time that we address the concerns of the residents, not the ones coming in here buying up everything and using it for commercial property. So, I don't know, but thank you, that's my concern, and I hope it's addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Dwight Bolden, and I'm here to speak on what one of my colleagues have already spoke on, as Cheryl. And Cheryl was talking about the fixing of Freedom Park, located on Main Street and North Albany Avenue. We do understand that there's an issue coming, and I think that complaint coming from you, Shirley, and we understand that. But what we don't understand, Monday morning, folks woke up with the intention of gathering as they usually do at the park. And one thing that we need to understand, especially those of us who don't understand the custom of African Americans, especially in Tampa, it's not unusual for African Americans, especially adults, to have a special gathering place where they gather to have conversation, fun, and activities. And it's usually adults, always have been. One of those occasions in the past was we would wake up on Sunday morning, go out to our nearest park, and play pickup basketball. It was customary. It was a culture. It wasn't nothing where folks were gathering to plot something. It just was customary, and always have been customary for us, African Americans, to have a gathering place.
It's safer in our neighborhood, at one time, we couldn't go places.
Now, the CRA has told us in the past, I believe, that there's an issue at Freedom Park and that is contaminated. We're not disagreeing with that. And we don't think that you should put a fence around it and do the testing. That's necessary. But I think it's plain disrespect.
Mr. White, trying to wrap it up, which is my mistake, because 3 minutes ago.
What we are calling for, or we want to ask you, the CRA, to meet with us. At one of these meetings, we don't care. But the subject of what happened there and what happens in CRA meetings, a lot of us have complaints.
Thank you for your comment.
And we would like for you to put us on the agenda and let's discuss this. Let's sit down like human beings and discuss this. Show some respect for African Americans in the West Tampa area.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker. Going once, anyone else that's public comments that have 3 minutes want to speak?
Good evening, Omar Garcia, 2111 North Albany. I wanted to echo the comments that Clay made. Again, you guys heard it, that we certainly would like to try and see Hyman and Walnut opened up for through traffic. A lot of the comments he already made, I don't even say anything. Finally, what I want to try and invite the CRA advisory group. We are in the process of almost completing the main work. Obviously, we're not going to finish this, but if the advisory group would like to tour the COG's cigar factory, love for having you guys come by and take a look at it to see how it's going. We're pretty proud of the work we've done. It's 110 beds that were previously not there. So we're creating living spaces that are not competing with the neighborhood for scarce resources. That was vacant land that wasn't used. So I think it's going to be a benefit for the community. The other thing too is the majority of our folks won't have cars. We'll be operating a shuttle to and from the University of Tampa. So that's also not adding significantly to any kind of traffic. So I think it's a nice project and we'll welcome you guys to visit it here. Okay. 2111 North Albany.
Okay, thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hi, everyone. Board. I was invited here by quite a few people in the neighborhood. And I know Joe and a lot of faces in this family. Everybody. My name is George Smith. I'm the barber, local barber in the neighborhood. I've been around for a long time. A lot of changes have been going on in West Tampa, and I observed from behind my chicken. I talk to people in the neighborhood, the neighbors, the residents. I know probably people in there, probably not more. There's a lot of changes going on in the neighborhood, and some of them are good. Development is good. Not so much the crime. It's been kind of increased. It's kind of like the development pushing the animals, the wolves and the coyotes that we have running through our neighborhood. I saw a coyote run across that county the other day. That's a part of our micro economy, our neighborhood. We're running the people that grew up in this neighborhood. we're enclosing them, kind of almost imprisoning them or running them out of our neighborhood. So it's a lot of problems. I grew up in this neighborhood. I have a barbershop right down the street. One of the only barbershops left in the West End. We used to have 7, 8 barbershops on Main Street, all in this neighborhood. Now I'm the last one here. Me and them at fault. But I see what's going on in the neighborhood. I've been in the neighborhood, been here for almost 30 years now. And the development is good, but all infrastructure, all the stuff that's going on in the neighborhood, the closing down of the park, the crime that's going on in the neighborhood, the new people's development that's going on in the neighborhood. I actually had a barbershop at the bottom of that building, that cigar factory. I know people that originally own that building. This that's going on now is supposed to happen 30 years ago. But things happen, the economy changed, and now we're where we're at now. Salitas and what's the name of thing that Mr. Saran said? In-town home. This is supposed to be done way back then. But things change in the neighborhood because the economy changed, real estate changed, everything changed, but the people in this neighborhood, they haven't changed until now. Now our community is much different. And we're being pretty much tossed out of our neighborhood. So we just want to have a history, a legacy, not just a marker on the corner that says that this was Great Park, Recreation Center, Martin Luther King, Recreation Center, or a sign that says this is Moses White Boulevard. We want to have property. We want to have a presence in our neighborhood. And that's all we want. From the residents to the businesses that's here. Tell me how many black businesses that's left in West Tampa right now.
You count them on one hand.
I'm one of them.
Wrap it up.
Okay. Barbecue King, Foster's Barbershop, and a couple of little businesses up there. We're talking maybe 5. So we just need to really, like you said, come together and work together because we're being really pretty much pushed out as well because our customers are gone now, and the people that's going to be moving in his apartment or his loft, I need them to be my customers now. So I need to find a way so we can interact, and I can market those people, which I'm right down the street from there, to my business so I can survive. Help me with my economic development.
All unity, man. That's all unity.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
The next speaker. Is anyone else out there that come up to the mic?
I don't need no mic.
Give them
I
a-
got good voice. Listen, my main concern is here, is where you fencing out those parks over there, okay, getting rid of the gathering of the brothers and sisters that come out here. Where do they go now? You guys say you are condemning the place because it's what? It's contaminated. Let me ask you something. How many people have been sick? How many people have died from the contamination? That's been there for years. And the brothers and sisters have been gathering there for years, and no one has gotten sick. So so that's an excuse you're using to drive the brothers and sisters out of the community, right? Am I not right? So you guys don't want to speak.
We don't.
You understand what I'm saying? Don't worry about it. You don't have to
We
answer.
don't respond to the.
Yeah, I know you don't answer. You don't need to answer. My biggest problem is what is happening to West Tampa, the history of West Tampa. I came down here in '79. Okay, I used to come over to West Tampa when the project was there before you guys knocked down the whole complete building there and put up those crazy high-rise up there. Okay, and what have you done to the people who was there? You took some of them, you threw them down by they call it Suitcase City. Okay, I know what Suitcase City is. I didn't grow up here. As you can tell from my accent, I'm not even from here. Okay, but my concern is for what you are doing to the people. You see, that's where the problem is. You see, everybody will get their compensation. You hear me? Everyone. You hear me? So all I can tell people to do is do what is right. Okay, is to do what is right. Stop telling lies. Okay, stop hiding behind whatever you guys call yourself hiding behind. Come out and speak. As my brother said, have a meeting. Talk to the people in the neighborhood. Okay, look around you. How much black people you see inside here? I'm from out of the neighborhood. How much of you went out and made this a project to say, hey, we're having a meeting to talk about the situation that's taking place here. You all need to come and voice your opinion. There's not one signature here. None. You hear me? You guys go out on the radio, you blow it up. Okay, you take your, I don't know if the newspapers still run inside here, the Tampa Bay Times. Huh? And what, how did they know about it?
It wasn't in the center.
That's all I have to say. You hear me? Don't sneak up and fight and hit us in the back. Come and attack us from the front. Okay, so we can fight back. You understand what I'm saying? Don't leave it for the last second. Let it be well known so we can prepare ourselves and come out to meet you guys. Okay? That's all I have to say. Be a man, be a woman.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else public comment? 3 minutes.
Good evening, my name is Nathan Hagan. I'm a volunteer leader for Building Tampa, which is in my backyard. We work on affordable housing issues across the city of Tampa. I didn't have any plan to speak tonight, but I was inspired by this young man's comments about people being pushed out of this community. I want to point out one of the biggest reasons I believe that that's happening. I live in North Hyde Park. I went to Tampa Elementary School growing up. I'm familiar with this neighborhood, but I didn't grow up thinking I was going to live in West Tampa. West Tampa is changing because people like me who thought maybe one day they could live in a place like South Tampa, which for me was aspirational when I was young. I would go and buy a house, go and install nice houses. They can't afford to live there. So you have people who have pretty good incomes. I have a pretty good income who can't afford to live in some neighborhoods south of Kennedy, who now are being pushed north of Kennedy, into whose homes? The people who have been here for 50 plus years. So I know my responsibility, and that's why I'm here working on affordable housing issues, because I think one of the most effective mechanisms we have for preserving affordable housing in West Tampa is going to the neighborhoods that have the most demand, where Domain Homes is selling new homes for $1 million in my neighborhood in south of 275, and building more housing there for people who can afford expensive housing. Instead of building expensive housing north of 275 in this neighborhood, we need to build more of it south of 275. Frankly, we need to be building it south of Kennedy. But that's not West Tampa CRA, so I won't talk about that. But we need to look at where the most demand is for housing for these high-income earners who are moving into West Tampa. There will be $500,000, $700,000 homes on this part of West Tampa.
Yeah, already here.
I was gonna say.
So, a year ago, yeah. Yeah.
Right around here.
$300,000.
Yeah, people are right. The numbers in this neighborhood are mind-boggling. I mean, it's just mind-boggling to see what's happening. And the reason why it's happening is because high-income earners who did not aspire to live in this neighborhood, as good as this neighborhood is, they're being forced to move here because this is the only place that they can afford, and they're high-income earners. So that's my story. I can tell you that's the truth of my story. So if you disagree, we can talk about it later, but that's my story. And I know there's a lot of young people like me who can't afford South Tampa, who are in this neighborhood because they can't afford to be somewhere else and they want to be here downtown. So just consider that in your planning development.
Thank you very much. Next speaker. Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Anybody got public comment for 3 minutes? Now it's your time to speak. We're gonna move on with the agenda.
Got one more. I know I'm late and I don't know what's been said.
Keep it like this, back.
I'm a preacher and I talk loud. I think everybody will hear me. My name is James Gallo. I'm speaking in concern of the parks that was closed down at the same time on Main Street. And I know that we understand planning. And if you're gonna plan something, close one down, fix it, then do the other. But now you have people who pay taxes in this community can't even use the parks. I understand they're putting money on Main. I understand. But if I pay taxes, I don't care how I look on the outside. If I want to utilize what I'm paying for, I should have the right to pay. I should have the right to utilize parks that was built or made for someone to go out and do what they do in the park. If everybody's not breaking the law. When I saw CRA, what came to my mind, being that I'm an ex-deputy and work for the sheriff's office, criminal report affidavit, not community. This is not for the community because the community can't utilize it. You're probably gonna beautify the neighborhood, great. But allow us to utilize it, because if we pay for it. I don't live in West Tampa, I grew up in West Tampa all my life. We see what's happening. The young man came up and said that there's homes being sold for $500,000, those $15,000 wooden houses. But then, we gotta think about what happened in the past. A lot of those lots were given to their friends because they were in development. Now people who need them can't afford them. And we keep saying that we'll beautify them so that people can come back and live in a neighborhood that they always dreamed about. That's a lie. My grandma said, out of the pit of hell. Because everything's about money now. If you out of there, you'll never get back in there.
That's right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else that has public comments for 3 minutes? Going once? Going twice? All right. Okay, let's go to the, is that it? Hold up. Is that it for anyone in the audience for public comments? If so, we're gonna go to virtual comments. Is anyone online that wants to make public comments? 3 minutes.
Thank you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
So
we
my
can.
name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the West Tampa CDC. Today I want to talk about public safety issues, about a study that just came out. The study is being done by the Grady Foundation. This foundation looks at gun violence. The title of that particular piece is called The Disproportionate Impact of Gun Violence on Black Americans. As a matter of fact, they quote that Black people count for over 60% of the homicides each year. Black people between the ages of 18 to 24 account for 19%. Black males under the age of 18 account for 14.5%. Over the last 5 years, there has been a 97% increase in gun violence among Black youth, 92% increase among Black males, and 134% among females. There has been some studies done to show that we can resolve this problem. These programs are proven to reduce crime. For example, in New York City, they implemented a program in which they was able to reduce violence by 50%. In Philadelphia, they was able to reduce violence by 25%. In Baltimore, they was able to reduce violence by 25%. We're using an approach that we call the Technology Wealth Building and Job Creation Center. Specifically, we're using what's known as the Video Production Center, in which we plan to monetize the talent of the young people in West Tampa. What does that mean? Jingles for businesses that want to jingle, we're going to have the young people. So not only that young person get money, but the West Tampa CDC also will get a piece of that money. Forms, you need a form? No problem. Come to us. Need a song? No problem. We plan to monetize the talent in West Tampa to reduce the level of violence. You heard the numbers, it's going crazy. The other thing I want to talk about is that we got a person that has issue with getting money in terms of trying to prepare her route. She doesn't have the money, so she's facing possibly code violation and losing her house. My question to the CAC, what can be done to help people in West Tampa that don't have the money to come up with what's necessary to match the city money? Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else on virtual that want to make public comment? Seeing none, hearing none, we're gonna move on with our agenda. I thank everybody for their comments. Action items. Approval for the January 23rd, 2024 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Is there a second? Second. Motion by Mr. Carlton Mills, and second by Mr. Lucia to move to January 23rd, 2024, notes of meeting. Is there any discussion?
Did I call out the action item around connecting with the property appraiser office? I know, Mike, you reached out, but it's not on the minutes.
What is that deal with the agenda?
I can add it as an action item.
As an action item, it was not in the minutes.
Under the action item section of the.
No, as far as discussion. When Ms. Moody was doing her presentation, I mentioned that we should be doing the seminar again around property tax, the home.
Well, I don't understand.
Exactly.
So that needs to be included in the notes of meeting?
Yeah.
As an action item?
Yeah. And Mike did already reach out.
Yeah, if I can speak to that, I had been communicating with Sparks about finding a time that worked for everybody, because we want to make sure that the community is engaged in a workshop so that they can ask all the questions they need. Obviously, a lot of us may have a handle on the items, but the whole idea is to make sure that people in the community got proper notice, were able to ask questions they need, but we understood the questions they had, and that's what we've been working on.
Can I just add, I was in Gainesville last month. The property appraiser there is doing a seminar there. They did it last year around estate planning, and robust planning as well, so folks think, like, you know, how can you basically, you know, probably estate plan, so you can own your home, that you can go through studio repairs without going to probate, things like that. So I think that'd be a nice addition to the program. We can add some kind of around estate planning.
Okay.
And the probate process.
Well, they are open to helping with whatever we give them. They just want to be prepared, so they'll come in and bring somebody, you know, subject matter experts in each individual thing, whatever they need. As long as we give them a little bit of notice, they're ready to come.
It could be two separate sessions, one on just homestead exemption, to make sure you're properly filed, and then another one around estate planning. I think that's something we don't do well enough in the Black community to talk about estate planning. Making sure that we have assets that we flow from, you know, to the next generation.
Okay.
Build that up.
Okay, is there any more discussion on the notes of meeting? Yes, Ms. Sanchez.
I just have a quick correction. On the report from Tampa Police, just the address is incorrect, it's 2712 West North A Street. That's the only correction I have.
Could you just repeat the
Is
numbers?
that
again?
Michael Sanchez?
2712 West. I'm sorry, the correction is just an address on the police report. Should be 2712 West North A Street.
Got it, thank you.
Okay, any other amendments or changes to the notes of meeting? Any more comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Moving right along to community policing update. We have Corporal Gig Brown, and he has an ask for us for security camera scan this fund request. If you could, Mr. Brown, you have the floor, please to the mic so we can hear you.
Okay. I don't normally need a microphone, but you insist.
You're recording, so.
Okay, no problem. No problem. All right. So good evening, Corporal Gig Brown, City County Police Department. We had an incident on Main Street, and the cameras that were installed there for safety and security, we had an issue where we lost connectivity, right? We lost the ability to record on that. The detective realized that, and so we worked to find a solution for it. Detective McGinnis and our CIB suggested that we purchase or provide SD cards for the cameras to have a backup if connectivity is lost or we lose the signal, that there would be a backup that we would be able to retrieve later. Thereby, we would have seamless coverage of what the cameras cover. He put together, did the research, and we got on the agenda tonight. For those of you who are not familiar with what an SD card looks like, this is what it looks like. These small cards will go into the camera. If by any chance the signal is lost, the Wi-Fi signal, the camera is lost, these cards will record what the cameras capture for us to retrieve later if it's necessary. We requested 10 cards That's 2 for each camera and 2 backups. So they're what we would call hot swappable, so that they were operating, will give us about 4 hours of coverage on each. 4 days of coverage for each camera if it were to lose connectivity. And of course, last week with the whole series of AT&T going down, we know how important that is, right? So these cards will record the data that can be retrieved for 4 days. They're hot swappable, so if they need to remove one of the cameras, there's a backup card for them that they will be able to put in where we would have seamless coverage. So we've given the invoice or the recommendation for specs on the cards to CRA board to purchase them. Our detectives will put them into the cameras, and that will resolve the issue that we had losing the coverage.
Okay, before we address that, do you have anything else to report on the community policing update?
Lieutenant is here to do that, and here to do crime stats.
We'll come back to that, that's not the discussion, looking back at that. Do you have the pricing, how much it is?
So the cards run about $28.96 each. We would need 10, so we're looking at under $300 to cover the cost of the cards.
All right, okay.
But we know there's a process to go through.
I understand, in other words, we gotta vote on that.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody, well, before you start, I believe I have a question, does anybody have a motion that we approve this expenditure up to some number, say $500, whatever?
Motion to approve and, cards of 500.
Is there a second? We got something, I heard you from the second, so there's a motion and a second. Motion by Bobby Wilson, second by Mr. Pacific. Is there a discussion on the motion, Mr. Vice Chairman Memphis?
I have no problem with the cards. 2 questions. Is the size okay, or do you guys need a bigger size? You said it lasts 4 days. Is that the regular time that you would go back to the camera, or do you need something?
So these are the recommendations for our detective. Would be monitoring the cameras, retrieving the data, and so forth. It will give 4 days of coverage. Hopefully, we have an issue with connectivity being lost for 4 days. So there's a large infrastructure problem with that. So they did the research, and this is what they recommend. And I'm going to go into that.
And second question is from Mr. Moody. I have no issue agreeing and voting yes on this one. I just want to make sure it's under our purview to purchase these.
It is, yeah. Thank you for checking the CRP, the redevelopment plan. We did speak with Officer Brown, and it's all eligible.
Yeah, these are the cameras that you won't purchase,
Thank you for that
so
question.
they're your cameras.
The cameras was eligible, so,
I understand.
and you know, this is a work in progress and learning about cameras. We want to try to last.
Just want to make sure it's on the record.
Oh, yeah. Anything else, Mr. Ramirez? Okay, Mr. Pacific.
Question, how long do we anticipate it will take to make this very minor thing happen? Serious question.
I would imagine as much as it take, how long it takes to procure cameras. You order them, they can be delivered in a matter of days, and I'm not sure what the time would be after that, but I would imagine it would be long.
Do we have somebody set to install these? Are these loaded into the cameras?
Yes, these are physically loaded into the cameras.
And do we have somebody ready to install that, or do we plan for that now?
Now, my understanding is our detectives are going to put them into the If that changes, I'll certainly, alert you advise. So my understanding is they're the ones who are going to retrieve them, so they'd be the ones to put them in.
Okay, is there any more discussion from the committee? Now, I don't normally do this, but Mr. Omar, you raise your hand, and I don't normally break up this, thing public.
I'll donate them, just to speed up the process. I'll buy you the 10 and donate them to the police department.
Wait,
Keep it simple.
we're gonna make our motion, and then you can work that out after, and so on. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right, now, that takes care of that, we did that, now it goes to the real board to ratify what we just did. And between that, Mr. Omar, I'm quite sure you can get with them and save some time and money. Okay, you're on, so introduce yourself, I don't see your name on here, yours?
I can feel that.
Okay, your name is? H-O-U-S-T-O-N? Introduce yourself and go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lieutenant Houston from the Tampa Police Department. I currently work the evening shift, so my hours are 2 to 2 PM to 1:25 AM. I think the last time I came was closed. I think I was working like a night shift, which was like 4 PM to 3 AM. Real quick, I just want to cover some of the crimes after the past month. What we normally do, and I think I explained it last time, there's 5 crimes that we like to focus on and kind of keep the crime down, which those crimes are robberies, burglaries, auto theft, which is stealing vehicles, auto burglaries, which is breaking into cars, and aggravated assaults or batteries, shooting, stabbings. So those are our big 5 crimes that we focus on. Obviously, we take other crime reports, but we try to control those 5. We see the most progress in the area, and we can control that crime and keep that down. So far, West Tampa for the last month, we have 1 robbery. We did make an arrest in that case. 1 residential burglary, that's still being investigated. There were no stolen vehicles. We did have 8 vehicle break-ins. We got 2 arrests, and there's 1 case that's still pending evidence, and that could be, we got blood, and we sent that to FDLE to get a DNA match on that. And we only had 2 aggravated assaults or batteries, and we have an arrest in that. We did do a search warrant at the ShopRite Food Mart, 2518 North Albany. That's a store on the west side. It's on Albany, in between St. Conrad and West Beach Street. So we arrested 11 people. This was over the course of a long investigation. We arrested 11 people. We recovered 2 firearms, multiple narcotics, and we seized 10 illegal slot machines. So it was being used for basically illegal gambling. So does anybody have any questions?
I think committee members have any, questions. Mrs. Jones, and I come to you, Ms. Jones.
Yeah, do you have a report on 1100 block of Nassau Street? We had helicopters for about 2 hours. They said they were after 2 male, and they were hitching trailers and just stealing them out the yard.
I don't have it in front of me, but I can get you that information. Do you know when that was, around the time it was?
When it happened?
Oh, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, I can get you that information.
Police, helicopters, for quite a while.
Okay.
But there was nothing on the television about it.
Yeah, so a lot of times, our helicopter is up, it seems like all the time. Like during the nighttime, our helicopter, so they have what we call flight hours. So most of those flight hours, we use them at night. A lot of times in the daytime, there's not a lot going on, but at night, that's when we have a lot of our crime. So you'll see the helicopter up. We utilize it all the time. Even if we have a person, we just do a traffic stop and that car runs from us, we'll bring the helicopter up. So, but I can look into that and see why we were over there that night. Our schedule, we work cycles, so I work 4 days, I'm off 4 days. So a lot of times, obviously, stuff happens on our days off, and we just have to, if it's something that sometimes it's not a big deal, and it won't be on the news or.
Well, they had the streets blocked, and what brought us out of the house was the helicopters
That
going
sounds like
around and around.
That sounds like they were doing a perimeter. If we got streets blocked and a helicopter up, and that means obviously somebody ran and we're searching for them in that specific area. But that's what that sounds like to me. That was probably a perimeter they were looking for somebody. Yes, ma'am.
Now at night that you're not.
So they just wanted we used to have 2 lieutenants, now there's 3 of us. So we have a daytime lieutenant, an evening lieutenant, and a midnight lieutenant. So the midnight lieutenant on this cycle is Lieutenant Purvis. She's the newly promoted lieutenant. And he comes in around 6 o'clock and he'll work till 5 in the morning.
Okay, that is Ms. Jones. Mrs. Williams.
The location 2518 North Albany, I see that place was reopened, so does that mean that everything was investigated and
As far as
done, or are you still monitoring
we'll still
the
monitor,
activity?
we'll still monitor the activity. That portion is, it's not done, we still have to go through court and all that, but, it's not, the investigation's not complete. That was just the arrest we made and what we recovered from the store.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from Mr. Davis?
So I wanna ask something. Sometimes we be having gatherings on Main Street, you know, block parties, whatever you might wanna call it, and you might get a call, and then they might say shots fired. But you might come there and you find out shots are not fired. Can you tell me, how do you go about doing this? Because when you come in at that time, you come in with lights flashing and a bunch of noise, so it's gonna hurt people's ears, so they're discouraged and they gotta go. So why is it like that? And when the person calls you and you find out that it's not what they said, why you don't leave or just stop the noise? You just, some of the officers there, they make sure that the people leave. You know, why is this? Okay. And most of the time, these people, all they doing is stand around. They might be drinking, they might be whatever, but they're not causing a problem.
So a lot of times, obviously, we get those calls, yes, we have to respond. When it's a big crowd like that, the first thing we do is we want to get people's attention. We want people to know, hey, yeah, we are here. A lot of times in the area, just because you don't see a police car, like a Tampa police car with lights, a lot of times when we respond to that, sometimes we can have our undercover guys in the area, hey, there's a group of guys over here with a gun. So a lot of times when we come in that area, we may be looking at a specific group, and I know obviously like you guys will never know that, but sometimes when we stay in that area, there may be a certain group that we're watching. But obviously, you know, we don't want to give away all our secrets, but a lot of times when we do that, there's a reason for it. And once that group leaves, normally you should see the light shut off or will leave, but a lot of times, or we know there's somebody, hey, that guy has a warrant, but we don't want to, and he could be armed, so we don't want to like spook him, so a lot of times we'll create a distraction over here, force him to move out of that area where we can go take him down safely, not involve anybody else in that arrest. So, but as far as the sirens, yeah, that's just initially to let people know, hey, yeah, the police are over here. I know one particular night, there was streets being blocked, and we get those calls too. They're like, hey, people are parked on our street, but as far as us hanging around, like I said, there's different reasons why we stick around the area. But a lot of times, if you're not doing anything, we're not going to even address you. We're there for it. It could be many reasons why we stick around. But it's all for safety. We're not gonna, if you're standing there not doing anything, we're not gonna say, hey, you need to get out of there. We're not gonna do that.
We're not saying that when you come by, we don't want you there, because we do want you there, but we want you to be community friendly. All right? That's it.
We understand it, but remember, some people don't want us there. So we get out, they're gonna get out of here, find you over here, we're gonna get that as well. So, now obviously the police are human, so if they get out of the car, if that's the first reaction they get, and they may be standoffish towards the good citizens, because they're like, hey, as soon as I got out, I got verbally attacked, so I'm just gonna stay in my car and not interact with the public. But that's something we can work on as well.
Okay.
Is that it, Mr. Baker?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much for your time. Yeah, over there. All right, moving right along on the agenda. That brings up presentations, and it's now 6:30. So let's be efficient with these presentations now. I don't want to go back. I really don't want to. You got that time on us, and let's see if we can. Let's put 5 and then they're going to bleed over. So let's see if we can try to keep them. Miss Erica under 5, but if they got to go along, we'll work with it. So the first one up is the water efficiency rebate. Julia Palaska, Tampa Water Department, I believe, Tampa Bay Water.
Yes.
David.
Thank you.
Gonna drop from,
All right, good evening, everyone. Julia Plaszczak here with the Water Department. I'm an environmental specialist. I've been with the city about 10 years. And you know, when we are talking about redevelopment of so many areas in Tampa, the folks like me who are watching our water resources really want to step in and give everyone an opportunity to take advantage of the resources and services we have. So you all know, I think, that we have the Hillsborough River as our water resource. And so let's just keep in mind that the river's not getting any bigger as we grow. And for areas that are going under redevelopment, whether you have an old home or a new home, understanding your water use and understanding where you can get help, I think is really important for our community. So very simply, I want you to say hello to the water department and know that you can call on us. I'm going to leave business cards on the back table there. What I want to show you here are just some of the resources that we provide our customers free of charge. If you have an account with the water department, you can get an indoor kit. I'm going to leave these coupons on the table and tells you how to ask for one. So when there are things that go on the end of the pipes, the shower head, the aerators, and also, very important, the leak detector tablets. Now, David here is going to talk more about the toilets. And I know it's really a change of pace here, you know. You think, oh, you know, why are we talking about water? It's there every day. We do a good job of providing you safe drinking water every day. But please be aware that we can put that resource under a lot of pressure as we grow. The other thing that we have for folks who like to garden or maybe have an irrigation system, rain gauges, hose and nozzles, moisture meters, so that you can see whether or not you actually have water. You know, that's the thing, right? We get a lot of rain, especially if we had a lovely rainy winter season. And one of the things that I see a lot are irrigation systems running even when they're not needed. So we're trying to help you understand how to use the water resources, how to preserve them, and most importantly, we have a lot of free tools that you can take advantage of and keep your water bill down, right? Save water, save cash. That's the way that goes. So I'm going to turn it over to Dave now, and he's going to talk about rebates that are available in this area.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing us a couple of minutes. I'm from Tampa Bay Water, as Julia mentioned, and we work very closely with them. We have wonderful rebates for toilets, shower heads, and areas. In other words, money for you. Okay, so if you go to your local Home Depot or you go to local Lowe's, we have stickers on WaterSense toilets that if you purchase those types of toilets, you can get back up to $100. Depending on the size of your toilet, up to 2 toilets are eligible in your home. Okay, so if you're remodeling or you have really old, big tank type of toilets and you purchase new ones, we have money for you. Okay, same thing with shower heads and areas. So please, I'm going to leave some brochures. Take advantage of this. There's huge money savings in this, and there's huge water savings in this, as Julia mentioned. So go to TampaBayWaterWise.org, and we can help you out. And I'll leave some cards also if you have any questions. Okay? Thank you so much for allowing us a few minutes to speak. Have a good evening.
Wow, that was a great short. Let me just say from personal experience, I got a $2,900 water bill sitting on my table right now. And the city you charge me $70 a month for using water for road. Because I have a place I was going for months and years. They said it wasn't, however, the city don't read the meter every month, they claim it. So I should have known in a month, not 2 months later, but I deal with it. So you definitely, I'm really impressed that, you know, that they give these rebates on these, because the older homes around there, the older toilets, putting on the aerator, they don't give you money. I'm so glad y'all took that. I was still on football, I never knew they would give this kind of rebates around for toilets and all that. So thank you very much. Thank you. And hopefully when we do these rehabs and these developments, that they go in and register these toilets and all that to come up with water savings. So thank you very much. Thank you. Next on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have a request, if I may, please. May we switch the agenda to have the West Tampa Strategy Group before the CRA grants portfolio? I think that's going to be a rather extended discussion, and this West Tampa Strategy Group is a much briefer presentation.
Please. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right, then we're gonna do that. All right, next up is the, that's you?
That's me.
Oh my God. West Tampa Strategy Group, you're now on, and give her a mic, please.
Thank you, good evening. Thank you all for your service. Man, it isn't easy. So I'm Linda Solsena, and I'm a member of the West Tampa Strategy Group, along with Manny Lato, Christian Leone, Adrian Garcia, and we are really committed to improving West Tampa through protecting its character. I wrote an article for Creative Loafing, Protect West Tampa, the soul and spirit of a quintessential Tampa neighborhood is on the line. I truly believe that. My dad and grandfather both worked in West Tampa. They're both professional lives and own property here. And it's a beautiful, fabulously rich, interesting, historic neighborhood, and we need to not tear every last thing down. So we have been strategizing. There will be more things in the future, but tonight I want to focus on two things that are germane for you all as the CRA Advisory Committee. Number one, West Tampa's existing overlay and design standards. They have not been successful in protecting the character of West Tampa. When we spoke with Jeanette Fenton, she said that you all, the CRA, was developing better, newer standards, but somehow these changes have not been implemented. I don't know if it's stuck here or if it's stuck somewhere in the city, but they need to be implemented as soon as possible. West Tampa is experiencing such growth pressures that we all recognize. And so this is, if I were you all, I'd ask the staff to get back to you as soon as possible to figure out where these changes are stuck and how to move them along. That's one thing. Where's the update? Number two, we are recommending a heightened focus on preservation because of all these development pressures. The last time a comprehensive survey was done was 1983. Obviously, we need an update so you know what you're talking about in terms of existing community fabric. So I talked to Dennis Fernandez, the city's preservation director, and he said his staff is slammed, they don't have the resources to do this. However, you all, as the advisory committee, could recommend that you spend some of your advisory committee, some of the CRA money to do this study. You hire a consultant in the private sector and they do it. This is the first step to having a real sense of what needs to be protected, what are the contributing structures. We all know that in the city of Tampa, if something's a National Register district, that's fine, but it doesn't really protect structures. The only way you absolutely protect structures is with a local district and local protection. Or you can have your overlay, but make it more potent so that it's really effective in protecting the quality that is what we all respond to, which is why we're sitting in this historic building. This is what's special. This is what's worth protecting. So we will continue to support West Tampa and gently nudge you toward getting these things done. Thank you. And you can look upon us as resources. And for those of you who didn't get copies of the newsletter, there are people who didn't show up, so I'll give you copies. And then hopefully we can share an online version of everyone.
Who is the West Tampa Strategy Group? That's AIL. Who is that?
No, I'm here as a representative of the Center for Architecture Design. I'm the advocacy chair. This seems like something we're advocating. But Manny Lato is a preservationist. He wants to preserve the burg in St. Petersburg, but his dad lives in West Tampa. He grew up here and he loves it. Christian Leone is a Tampa guy who loves West Tampa. We're just sort of an ad hoc group.
Okay, an ad hoc group.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Now, let's keep them short, because these people got to go now. They got to take
Are all
this
these
personal issue.
professional
Senator
people-
Jones.
Are all these professional people, have you considered residents that been here like me
this body is the one that makes the decisions for the neighborhood. We are all design professionals, and we're looking at it from that perspective.
I would think you would have some people that's in the neighborhood that's commonly people. That's just my opinion.
So that's Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
I just want to say thank you to Ms. Salsena for coming tonight and also for the West Tampa Strategy Group for taking on this very important mission. And yes, you are totally right, and the group is certainly open to having more participation. I participate on the group representing the West Tampa Chamber of Commerce. I'm the president this year, and my theme is prosperity and preservation, because I think they go hand in hand. So I think one of the important things is that we need to focus on allocating resources to these preservation efforts. I was able to uncover the work of the committee. Mike, you were on it. Ms. Delphine, you were on it. Bobby, I think you, certainly Ms. Sanchez, I was involved in a very, you were also, Carlos, how can I forget, a very comprehensive update of the overlay, which
We don't have it.
has gone nowhere.
We've been waiting for the city for a year to address the changes that need to be made. I said, we've been waiting for over a year for the city to address the changes that need to be made in the West Tampa overlay. And there's a problem. If you want to make it stronger so you can get preservation involved in it, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. You can find out why the city is not allowing us to move forward. We're trying to find out too. We're all trying to work to find out why. It's been a year before anything from the city will talk to us.
Thank you.
Let me say this, I've been knowing Linda when she was doing the salt, and I'm a historical preservationist. Linda Saul, Lucy Bailey Smith, Joan Gentleman, Stephanie Farrell, the ladies, Joan Gentleman, the ladies that taught me in 1980 with the very first 501c3 nonprofit corporation in West Tampa, the city of Tampa, period, to do development and take a look at saving structures, including this building, and were instrumental in creating this as a national historic district. I was involved with that. They trained me, and we were published in the 1982 Historical Preservation magazine with an article called "City Our City Rise for the Ashes." And the picture, when you open it up, is a picture in here where we're sitting, which was the main room where they played dominoes now. So I learned historical preservation. That's why I'm not selling that now. I'm not knocking my wood frame down for nothing, because this place has to have the contributing structures as well as the non-contributing structures. And the last time we had a update, like she said, was 83. Before that, we just had the Sanborn maps, if you really know about historical preservation in West Tampa. And one of the things that we wanted to do, even right on this property, right out there where that parking lot at, is we want to say three wood frame shotgun houses. And we came up with a scheme to have people with low moderate income to be able to rent them in 5 years. They'd be able to build up some money that they would save from their rent, and then they could purchase them and move it and own them. Well, you know, the city can't, it's code enforcement and it's aggressive, taking the property right just compensation, okay? So that got code to the curb. So I agree that if we can, in our community redevelopment plan, part of it does say historical preservation. If I recall reading the community development plan, that we can spend funds to do that. And that is something that hasn't been done since 83, 30 years, 40 years going on. Then we need, and this is the way that you keep this gentrification and keep this nonsense, knocking down the wood frame and putting up a 500, now the man telling us $1 million house to come around there. Because if you save these wood frames, the people that own them, because they're on them, listed as either contributing structure or they're consisted as actually a structure that is historical and has been identified. And the thing we would get if we were to authorize an update is we know how many of them been gone. Because if you look at the actual West Tampa Historic District map that I helped create, the boundaries, we got to prove, you know, that wasn't easy. And we identified all the structures you see on that. It shows an outline of them, it's not calling an outline of them, and, we need to update that. And if there's a way that we can do it, then maybe at our next meeting, if not now, that we ask staff to take a look at, can we do it? And what would it take for us to do that? Now, somebody got a motion on entertainment, now we're talking about it, but it needs to be done. I agree with it, and we got funding that we can do it with. We are a national historic district, you know, there's just so much saying that, and we don't know how many structures have been taken to, I'm gonna tell you something. If you take, and I'm gonna tell you, if you take more structures out, and you take so many of them out, you will lose your National Historic District designation. So you gotta be careful with knocking all these houses down, putting all these new structures that aren't no contributor, there's just new houses being built that may have some architectural significance of a bungalow, you know, but they are not gonna count to stop the destruction of housing and buildings, such as the historical cigar factories. You better even say something, that's Elizabeth. She came and coined the term demolition by neglect. So by not doing that, then all of a sudden now, the building is condemned because you neglected to maintain it, so you don't have to. So let me let them go, and I know we gotta get out of this because I was told they got to go get the daycare and all that. So
One quick comment on that has to do with what we were just saying, demolition by neglect. The common sense approach to how we preserve these structures, I absolutely think we need a survey to identify them. The risk you run, and one thing we tried to address as we all sat together for 3 years and tried to readdress that overlay, was how do we have a common sense approach to this? Because if you make these things so expensive to maintain, because this bungalow that's 850 square feet suddenly needs to have the windows done, but the requirement for the historic preservation means that they have to put $6,000 windows in there, your average neighborhood is not going to be able to afford that. People will not be able to preserve their own homes. It's going to cause those costs to rise. That's going to push people out of their homes. And guess what? You're not going to have a new $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 home there. You're going to have an old home that's $500,000, $600,000 or $700,000. It's not realistic. So certain things that we proposed when we were talking about the commercial overlay was that if someone's going to restore a structure, let's not require that this be a $10,000 wood frame window and so forth, that it has a certain look. We want to maintain the fabric and the look, but it has to be cost effective. Otherwise, that is going to tear apart the neighborhood. And if people cannot efficiently repair these, then they will fall apart by neglect. So that's all I want to say.
Yes, and let me just piggyback on that. That is one reason I personally, it's just me, was never for a local historic district, because I saw that we had slum and blight, a lot of people that are poor, that may own the wood frame, and it's falling apart, but they could not afford to do cypress windows, to be able to maintain it with those lap doors, and to do all that stuff that you have to have as a National Historic District standards. And that's one reason I said the compromise was the overlay. And that is why the overlay has some slopes and some setbacks, some front porches to it, but we can't seem to get city council, let alone staff, to buy in, because they're somewhere caught between the new and the old. But as a National Historic District, we got some power, we got some funding, so let's just see if we can, if we want to make them get back to this motion. Before I get to that, let me quash the motion, not a motion, that we have staff take a look at us funding a study of updating the existing structures for identifying the historical preservation structures, contributing structures or whatever, an update to that. That has been done. Is there a motion to that? Oh, okay, well, you make it.
Are you making a motion?
No, I can't make a motion.
Okay.
Okay, you make a motion?
I make a motion for staff to look into doing a new historical structure survey for West Tampa.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, motion passed. Now, who had their hand up here, and then we gotta move on, because they have to go, they have to go.
I'm still gonna
Ms.
say,
Jones,
I'm still gonna say you need to involve the people in the community, because they have stories to tell. They can tell
you
you.
mean with the West Tampa Strategy Group?
Right.
Okay, that's the request.
Or whatever, this whole thing is just motion.
Yeah.
I have a story to tell these people out here who keep us really, stay focused in this community, like you are.
All right, okay, I'm sorry, you have
I just have one little comment about historic preservation. And there really, I believe there needs to be some financial incentive for people to restore their homes. We do have these grants that are available for repairs, and that, you know, we need to publicize that more and make that easier for people to take advantage of those things. But in terms of things like property taxes, I mean, we need to engage with county and the city especially to help us, because there needs to be a financial incentive.
Maloney, you are absolutely correct, that was 96. Okay, and that's why I always said, run a rehab, that's why I said rehab, no, it ain't there, we shoot each other, anybody else, we move on to do that stuff. Let's go further than that, that's it, we'll move on.
Just going back to the overlay and the update of the overlay, I think we also need to ask staff for an official response as to the status and how they plan to implement it. If they're not able to implement it, then,
They can't implement it, so we haven't changed it.
well, I mean, implement the changing I'm talking about, not implement.
I would be happy if they implemented what was there, but if it is, between design exceptions, one thing.
Someone here, we want to update the staff, is that one here?
Well,
Okay.
here's what I'm
Make a motion,
saying.
make the update the staff come in.
We want to understand if staff is going to
Right,
undertake
they're not
the
gonna do
work.
it, let's make the motion. Go ahead. That's what they're done.
Okay, I make a motion.
Understand? Yeah.
I make a motion that we request for staff to provide us a response as to whether they will undertake the revisions to the West Tampa overlay. And if that is not possible, then we can look at hiring outside staffing and consulting to perform that
And just
task.
add update as to where they at. I agree with that, plus an update.
Correct.
All right, that's the motion, is there a second?
I second.
Oh, Ms. Maloney beats you to it. Vice Chair, Ms. Maloney second, is the discussion? Remembers.
I just want to amend that if the city is going to take it on, we have to give them a time limit, or they have to
Yes,
come
oh,
up.
yeah, and absolutely,
We'll get to
yes,
that.
yeah,
Okay, and you accept that friendly amendment?
absolutely.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor say aye, Mr. Ramirez.
Aye.
All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passed. All right, thank you very much. Think we got something done. Let's move on, because I was told we gotta finish that one quickly. Now we're moving to, announcements, proposed meeting date. So where we at now? Capital projects? Proposed CC meeting date change. Oh, we skipped over because that was my bad. Yeah, I don't have a check. That we're now at presentation salary grants portfolio audit and recommendation CRA grants team. You have the floor. We've been waiting for you. Come on down. Come on down. Introduce yourselves. Who's ever working with the grant program, just know who you are. Come on up front and introduce yourself and get started. And you got the mic.
Good evening, everyone. We are your grant or commercial grants team. My name is Dee Reed. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator, and this is my team. We have Andrea Rosshaven. We have Corinne Linnebrink. We have Vanessa Ross. And then we also have Brett Burt. He is not here tonight, but he is also a part of the team. So today we're here to provide an update on the grant audit and changes that we're proposing to our portfolio. The presentation will include a lot of information. So we are asking if you can hold your questions to the end. We are going to be passing out notebooks so that notebooks and pens so that you can jot down any questions that you think of as the presentation goes along. And then at the end, we designated about a 15-minute question and answer. And so again, at the end of that 15 minutes, we'll try to address all of the questions that you have. If we don't get to them, we are collecting the notepads, and so we will be able to get back with you on any answers that we can't touch while we're here. If you give us a few minutes, once she's finished passing out, oh, maybe she's done, all right. So if you can, just turn your attention to the screen, and then we'll come back up for a question and answer.
Put that microphone on.
I don't know. It's
Okay, all right. I really appreciate that. That's my first time seeing that. Boy, my pad here already got a bunch of writing on it. That's trouble. Okay, all right. We've heard a presentation. Is there any questions by the advisory committee member? All right, Ms. Pittman.
I'll defer to Ms. Jones.
Ms. Jones,
And
okay.
then I'll go with Mr. Wilson, since I've already spoken about, I'll wait my turn.
Okay, just hold on, just slow down. All right, Ms. Jones, go
Okay,
ahead.
my question is about managing funds. I need some more information on that because we have residents that need roofs on their homes, like I brought up the last time, and they can't afford to go out and purchase the material and then come around and pay for it because they can't afford it. So you say matching funds, what are you referring to? Because we worked on all this, we had grants for all these things and still put them on hold.
There's nothing in your music library.
That's the matching grant, that's the music library.
So, I can only speak to matching funds, and when it comes to commercial grants, it would not have any bearing on your question regarding things like roofs and things like that. That would be handled by the residential grants team. So did you want me to go into more detail regarding?
Is residential.
Right, I can't answer.
The question, do we have a program for residential, yes or no?
The residential team would have to speak to anything residential.
That's what I the chair's asking a question, where they at, Mrs. Erica? They here tonight?
So we have separated these conversations into commercial grants. This is our economic development team, and that's what we've been doing the audit on. We also have the housing team, and this Thursday, there's a housing workshop with council to have a discussion around affordable housing, and the CRA is part of that discussion. So for today, we'll be hearing from the commercial side, and you will hear from the residential side in the future.
All right, so it's disingenuous to say that we in CRA grant portfolio audit recommendations. What it should have said is just from the commercial side.
Yeah.
That's clear for me. I was ready to talk about residential, commercial, and any grant. So that means we're gonna have this again, people, next month. Okay, so tonight, ask your question, whether it's for residential or commercial, because I already done talked to East Tampa to find out what they're doing, instead of having just something for roofs, this, something, that. They have something to renovate your house, and you can do the roof, the attics, whatever else. So we'll have that conversation when we come to residential. Now, let me ask you a question. Rental property, is that commercial or residential, if it's a residential home?
It would fall under residential.
Let the lady answer, not you. Is it residential or commercial? If you have a house, the same family house, and you wanna get some funds and fix it up, does that fall under residential? Or does that fall under rental rehab, or what do y'all calling that?
If it's a property that you reside in, it would fall under residential.
No, not somebody reside in, but to be available for someone that's low income to reside in. It's the first one.
It would all fall under residential. The use of the property is for residents, for someone to live in, so it would be
Whether it's
residential.
being rented by an owner or an individual
Correct.
standing, y'all calling that residential period.
Yes.
So then, if I have a commercial building upstairs and I got apartments, what would that be?
It depends on the improvements that you're trying to make. If you're making improvements to the commercial space, then it would be commercial. Being that it's a mixed-use building, then there is a grant that we are working on that may be able to be applied, but it would solely focus on the commercial space.
Right, but what I'm talking about in West Tampa and most historical districts, we have, and even this new stuff now has residents above it, and the ground level is retail or commercial.
Right, so the
what you
commercial
have-
grant, the commercial grant
We'll
would
take care
focus
of-
on the commercial piece,
Right, but what's gonna take care of
the
the
residential grants.
So you'll be able to get 2 bites of the apple.
As far as I would think, yes, but I can't speak to the residential piece. I'm not involved in
That's
that.
why we need them both here, Mrs. Erica. Because we're getting a piece of information about commercial, and a majority of people sitting in this room talking about individual housing, residential, how to keep the house from being stolen, or taken, or rehab, to keep them moving out being gentrified. So we'll get this commercial, but be aware that, you know, I think the people sitting out there, and a lot of us were thinking that it's gonna be both.
There's
So-
only one person
Well,
that may be commercial, and that may be you, because you're on the barbershop. The rest of us are residential.
Yeah.
And I think it's very disingenuous to have us come out here and you're talking about commercial. I've been to a couple of these meetings, and the commercial people aren't there. It's the people in the community.
So
They get the money.
I do
Every
understand.
time I turn around, there's money
I got some
going
questions
to.
myself.
Well, hold on, I don't wanna get out of control now. I done let the staff know and the director know that we should have had both. Had the residential first, because it goes to what y'all said earlier, that the program that we're doing is just for developers and just for commercial, see? And then I didn't know this, and I'm the chair. I thought it was gonna be everything dealing with grants. Be it residential, commercial, one-off, special projects is what I thought we were hearing.
Yeah.
And they hadn't gotten around to us. They've been given this presentation already, this side knows that's what. So Mrs. Moody, we're gonna go ahead and finish the conversation tonight, but be aware that first thing on the agenda for next month is gonna be this pickup piece. And you might wanna have somebody from commercial back over here, so we can get a because we like to hear stuff comprehensively, not piece by piece. That's the problem I have with the city, they wanna spoon feed you piece by piece. Let's be transparent, just say, here's our grant program, be it commercial, residential, or even special project grant. Right? Because if you start trying to have this one and that one and that one, we can't get a feel for, you know, how that's gonna apply to this particular CRA needs, because every CRA needs are different. This is not Channel Side, this ain't downtown, we ain't got no skyscrapers, so it's a whole different mix. And that commercial is probably more for them than it is for us. We have a lot of residents around here, and we have a lot of commercial that has residents that can be good stayers and have some. So we're gonna move on, people, with the questions that you have for these people here. Respect that they came out, respect that they talked commercial. So Mr. Garcia, you got commercial in around here. If you got some questions, please get them in the head, but I got some here, but let's keep moving. So, all right, let's keep moving. Mrs. Maloney?
Thank you. I just wanted to know, could you tell us how much money was requested in the last calendar year for commercial grants? And how much was provided to those requesters of those grants? What are the numbers?
I don't have the budget.
Yeah. So that's a great question, and I appreciate everyone's feedback, and I know residential is number one, like that is number one, and it's a big undertaking. For those who don't know, the CRA dedicated 30% of each budget of all 8 CRAs, dedicated it to affordable housing. So it's specifically earmarked for these residential grants. So it's been a big undertaking to develop an implementation strategy for affordable housing. So that is what we are working on. You'll tune in to City Council on Thursday, and you'll hear about the implementation strategy and get some feedback, and then we will be bringing that to this group as well. We'll make sure to do a lot of communication and marketing around it. The reason why these conversations are separate is because they're 2 separate departments. So when someone comes up to us and says, hey, what kind of grants do you have? We say, okay, are you commercial, kind of business owner, or are you a resident? And then you will be sent to a department based on how you answer that question. On the last slide, we saw book a consultation with CRA, so we want to be more hands-on. I know the presentation was hard to hear, but we're removing restrictions and these barriers, and we want to make it easy for everyone to access them, and it'll be first come, first serve. And once the money's, out, we want to get the money out to you all. So, I just want to reiterate that we're all here, to build community with you. We want to, listen to you and understand your needs, and we're working hard to make it happen.
Okay, and Chair, you're doing this way, something. Anybody that makes a presentation here, like Mr. Vice Chair, must provide a copy of it for our CRA Advisory Committee. So I'm requesting as chair that presentation that I just heard be put on the West, I don't care about the other side, be put on the West Tampa CRA website so the public can hear it. So that's the first time we heard it, it's a public record. Please put that presentation that we just heard on the website of the West Tampa CRA, CAC. Okay? So that way we can put it up, play it several times, listen to it, get a lot clearer with this audio system we got in this thing. Hannah Avenue, we got all the stated out like these temples now. So we wanna get that up there, Ms. Erica, as soon as you can. And that'll help that. Anybody else got some questions down?
Yes, I didn't fully answer the question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She asked about the utilization of these programs, and the reason why I went on this spiel is because as we went in to analyze these grants, our managers told us that, this is really popular. And then we found out that only 2 people were using these grants a year, and it was really low utilization. So we did not find that as a success metric. So we're like, why aren't people utilizing these grants, and how can we make it easier for them to utilize? So my answer is a very low utilization of grants.
So you don't have an actual dollar figure number for how many grant dollars were provided to this CRA?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me,
West
but.
Tampa CRA has every grant that we ever gave out identified on the spreadsheet that colors, that's you, colors. That Jesus Nino produced for us, and I made him do it, and he would make the update. And if y'all don't know about it, I will find it in my records. I ain't thrown that away in 30 years. I had every piece of paper document that you ever seen. So there was that report. So we said, well, how many facade grants we have, who's getting it, how much it is. Remember that spreadsheet he had? So I don't know if you've seen that, Ms. Mooney?
Yes.
All right, so we do have that, Ms. Maloney. So if you can, maybe you might want to share that with Ms. Maloney and get it back to everybody so we can remember all of the grants that we have made. We're not one of them people that wasn't getting grants out. Okay, actually, we get them out so fast, the city couldn't get the construction side, the capital infrastructure side to get it done. Hence why Ray Park, hence why I seen it 3-4 years later, ain't been done. But let's move on. Anything else, Ms. Jones? No, but that's it, Ms. Maloney? Was that this, Ms. Erica?
I just wanted to remind her, and some people that's sitting out in the audience, why some of the grants were not utilized and underutilized, is because they felt, like I told you, that the city was getting too personal with, their bank accounts. They gotta put on the personal information. I did tell you that last week.
Yeah.
That is one of the reasons why.
And I can assure you that that is one piece that we have proposed. I don't know if you noticed it in the slide, but we have put in there that
That's
we're
for the
requesting.
residential side,
Oh, okay.
not for commercial.
Yeah.
But everyday people who
This is
need
good.
help.
I'm glad you said
And
this.
that's why that's why I was on every committee I'm on. So I can represent poor people, not commercial people.
Okay.
Poor people.
Okay, on this side. Okay, Ms. Williams, and then you, Mr. Vice Chair.
I just wanted to know, did you all review the grants that we had that were specifically for or designated for commercial use?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Were they acceptable to you, not acceptable to you? Were they limiting? What's the deal with that?
So what we mentioned that our assessment meeting with consultants on it, the improvements of the grants were accessible. What was not necessarily most productive is the fact that take 5 different improvements or needs that the community has. We don't need 5 grants in order to address those 5 issues. Those 5 issues can still be available in 1 grant. So these are the types of changes that we've made from a commercial side, and I do apologize that everybody was expecting to hear residential. But from a commercial side, we haven't taken away any of the improvements that you were getting. We just streamlined them. Things that happen on the outside of the building don't need to be 3 different grants. It can be one grant that addresses all of that, and same interior.
Are you coming back so that we can see exactly what you're talking about?
So those items will be presented right now we can't present those because they're still going through review with legal in terms of verbiage and legalities and things like that. But those items will be presented during the presentation to the CRA board on March 21st. So if you tune in, you will be able to hear specifics about the individual grants.
Come down. Ms. Jones, Ms. Williams, you got, what we getting at now, okay? Ms. Williams.
It's so frustrating, and I appreciate you all being here, but I think about the people who need help now. Does this mean that these grants that we worked hard on, whether it's commercial or residential, have been suspended since February of 2023? Or is that not correct?
No, that's not correct. In terms of commercial, the grants have not been suspended. We have still been receiving applications. Correct. Up until the date that the board approves the new policies and whatever effective date is in place, we continue to accept grants and process them. But what we are doing is we are asking everyone to come in for pre-application, and we're discussing the totality of what it is you would like to do with your property. And then we can advise, hey, these are some, based on the changes that are coming, it might be advantageous for you to wait and apply under the new slate. That's a recommendation. It is still up to the property owner whether they want to submit under the current grant or wait and submit under the proposed grant.
So commercial, you're still accepting?
Yes.
Residential is a different story.
I
believe, but I
She's a West Tampa residential grant right now processing.
Stay focused on
Ms. Williams, I am processing a residential West Tampa grant right now, so none of our grants that the CRA presented before have been suspended.
Okay, we were told they were all
Yeah.
suspended. Let's get this on the record. There are no program grants that we created with this West Tampa CRA advisory committee that have been suspended, yes or no? Ms. Erica Moody. Ms. Erica Moody. We were told that they were all suspended until such time the reorganization go through, the new rules and all the applications are updated.
Yeah.
So that's not what I'm hearing tonight.
So there was confusion around that as we decided whether we needed to pause or whether we needed to continue. I learned that you got the information from your CRA manager at that time that they were pausing, but we have been receiving applications. So we're just trying to clean all of this up so we can get this in place and get it stabilized.
Well, that's good news for people sitting in all this right now. You done with please? All right, Mr. Carlos and then Mr. Brazil, yeah.
Well, my first question's been answered, so I'm glad the program is still available. I know there's folks in the audience who are either coming to West Tampa for businesses or they're already here who are anxious to get some grant money so they can continue on with their businesses, and that's part of the whole economic development. The other question, I know this was brought up last month, is I know we're talking about connecting with banks, so the burden of their share of the grant would be lessened a little. Any update on that?
So in terms of the partnership with banks, we are still in the process of that. We've had some conversations with the, what is Javier's position?
Oh, economic development.
Well, yeah, so I've been meeting, or I met with the economic development manager. Manager? Okay, so we've talked through those things. There's some research that we had to do on the back end to just try to kind of figure out what we can do, what options there are. And then we're going to be meeting with several banks to try to develop partnerships where they can help with that. So quick answer, we don't have that answer yet, but we are working on that. However, there is one element that was briefly mentioned, and there will be more details explained about it on the 21st of March, is our legacy credit. And so that is designed to help with property owners that have been here and paid and contributed to the tax base within the district.
What's the definition of a legacy? Let her say it. I want to hear them on the record. What is a legacy credit?
So a legacy credit is, I can't give you a legal definition, I'm not a legal
As you
employee.
understand it,
So a legacy credit essentially is some sort of relief on the matching grant amounts based on the amount of time that you have lived within the district and paid into property taxes.
own property. If you ain't-
My apologies, own property and pay taxes within the district.
I'm letting. Mr. Hold up, George.
Everything that I'm talking about will be commercial.
A question, we ain't going nowhere.
So it's
All right,
kind of
go
like
ahead, Mr.
grandfather
Carlos.
then. That's what we're working for, yeah.
Last question I have, are there any programs for folks who are renting commercial space if you want to include it?
The grants are for all of the commercial spaces, and we've also made the change that now tenants are able to apply for the grants. They just have to have an affidavit signed by the owner that they authorize these improvements to be made.
Thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anybody, I'm gonna come on this side. Okay, Mr. Brissett, and then you, Mrs. Fenn. This is a good conversation. Great.
So my only concern with the stacking, and I want to understand that a little bit better. One of the reasons we implemented several new programs that were broken apart was so that businesses could go after specifically what they needed and speed the process up. Time is what bankrupts most businesses before they even get open.
Yes.
And that's a challenge for tenants alike and for people that are moving in, into a new area and trying to make some changes. Those administrative approvals, which were allowed because they were below a certain threshold, will stacking affect those? Is that going to push it over a threshold to where that's going to extend the time period and they're going to have a different approval body?
So no, because each grant, even though you apply for all three grants, your reimbursement would be issued separately. So it would come from each grant separately, which would thus keep it under the threshold and it does not delay the process. Time, we do understand that time is an issue and it has killed a lot of projects, which is why you heard in the presentation that we're we're making an attempt to remove levels of review. So essentially, while you don't have to have a separate grant to limit what you're looking for. This grant can reimburse for 50 items, but if you only need 3, you only apply for 3. The timeline to process these grants will be the same whether you're requesting 50 or 3. We're requesting approval of the grant program and we would be able to administer an approval at an administrative level. And it doesn't change based on what you're asking for.
And so just to further clarify that, if there's multiple grants that are being stacked and applied for, those are individually have their own timeframes. So we actually voted to extend because the problem we had was it takes time to do that. You apply for the grant, it takes time to complete it, and then it takes time for them to inspect and close out. And then, so all of that, could not happen in a 6-month period. So we wanted to extend that out. If you have multiple grants and they don't start at the same time,
the applicant has control over that. So when you submit your application, if you submit all of the required documents for all 3, we will process all 3 at the same time.
No, I understand. But I'm talking about the other mitigating circumstances, like until certain things are cleared and permits are closed and things like that, they can't get reimbursed for that, even though that portion of the project may be done. If there's an open permit with the city of Tampa that requires multiple things to be completed under one plan, you're never going to get your funding back if you have to wait for that whole permit to close. Because you're not opening up 3 individual permits because the permits don't run along, they don't run in sequence with the individual grants, right? So that's what would cause the biggest problem, I think, is someone that will have spent that money and needs to close that out, reimburse it so they may be able to do another project. They're not going to be able to do that if they're waiting for their final inspection, which might be months away. So.
And it's a valid point. I think we kind of mitigate that by the changes that we're making. You should be able to apply and get an approval for a grant 30 to 60 days at the most. So if you're having to wait on a permit to be closed out and it may take 2-3 months at the end, well, we've cut that off of the front end of the process by removing those levels of review.
But okay, I won't be last. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I think it would be very helpful if we could have in the future an explanation of each of these grants, because some of them we're familiar with, but I'm assuming these are across all the CRAs. So some of them are not ones that West Tampa's familiar with. So if we could have an explanation of the new, wherever it is, the 5 new proposed grants.
And you would get that, we just can't give you that until legal finishes their review, and that's the only reason you don't have them tonight.
And so I would want that, and then also perhaps a matrix that shows where the list is absorbed into other grants, what grants are they being absorbed into, and the same thing with Sunset, so that we have a cross-check and understand exactly where everything is fitting. That's one thing.
And the grant
You can
maximum.
incorporate that in your presentation
For
Right.
321. Okay, Jeanette, we have that information. I'll incorporate it into the March 21st update, so you'll get it then too.
Great, thank you. Now, getting back to what I heard about the March 21st update, which is to the CRA board. I'm assuming that's going to be informational for them and that they won't be taking action, correct? And the reason I bring it up is because typically we, the advisory committee, would look at what's being presented to the board and give our input. So what I'm hoping is that when you go to them on the 21st, you're presenting it for their information, and then it will come back to us so that we can review and give our comments and then go back to them for final action.
That's
Is
not
that?
gonna happen. Unless we change our renewal date to the 3rd Tuesday. See, we meet on the 4th Tuesday, that would be the 26th. The 21st is the 3rd Thursday. I probably won't be here, but if we move our meeting to the 3rd Thursday for next month, 3rd Tuesday, the 19th, that will be before the 21st. That's about the only way you're gonna get that information, because usually the city council agenda with backup has to be in the clerk's office at least by 2 years.
That's not what I'm talking about.
But that's what I'm saying,
I
you're
have
not
that
gonna be able to review it.
You understand what I'm
We're not
saying?
I do.
I understand what you're asking.
Is the intention that it was just going to be informational for them?
No, the intention is not for it to be informational. Essentially, and I understand what you're asking. So our presentation to you all is telling you what those changes are, which is what's in the presentation. The only difference that is going to be on the document is the wording of how to accomplish that. But these changes that we're telling you we're going to make, this is what we're making in those documents.
Okay.
So you're
Okay. Forgive me. You're creating new grant programs.
We're not creating new grant
Or you're
programs.
consolidating.
Correct.
Well, something must be new, because I don't know what the cigar grant is. I've never heard of that.
It's a new name for grants that's a new name for the grant that has been created by some consolidating existing grants.
Okay. So what you're saying is you're not creating any new grants. You're just renaming them, consolidating them.
So Facade and Site is not a new grant. It existed. We've taken grants that reimbursed or addressed improvements and consolidated them all into one facade. Cigar is an interior grant that was formed the same way as Facade from other grants that existed, multiple grants that existed and could be combined into one. Pre-development is a grant that existed but needed to be refined. Special projects is a grant that people have been applying for, but we had no standards for it. There was nothing that says how this is going to be decided. How do you determine whether you qualify? So standards were put in place, and that's at the request of the board. So nothing is new except for TIF, but that's something, if you notice, we mentioned on there to come. So that one is not going to be one that's available right away, because there's more educational pieces that go along with that.
Okay, well, I'll reserve until.
I understand.
After March 21st.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah, so just So the cigar, for example, for that cigar grant, so maybe this isn't the stacking I was discussing, but the consolidation of these grants that used to be individual smaller grants that businesses could apply for and have administratively approved to speed up the process. If they're now combined and it's one grant, doesn't that put a potential to put it over a threshold, which is now going to take longer for approval?
No.
So, and what we're proposing, yeah.
If it goes over the threshold, it's not administratively approved anymore.
Yes, technically, what you're describing, yes, that is not going to be the case with the grants.
I just, humor me though, I'm just, how is that not going to be the case? If it pushes it over a threshold, there will not be administrative approval, it will be extended.
We're approving the program.
Right. So the threshold, you don't get approval?
So there is no.
Well, that's what I'm saying, over the threshold for administrative approval, it has to go in front of the CRA board for approval.
Over the, then it would be a special project.
I guess they're going to change the threshold.
We're huddling.
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Are you talking about the $25,000 threshold? If it goes over that, okay, that is not going to be an issue because the grants, when they're presented, will be presented to the board with a maximum number. Anything that fits within that is going to be approved administratively. So if it goes over that, that's where it falls into. And when I say goes over, you got to remember, this was a smaller grant that only reimbursed certain things. So if we add to one grant, we would have to increase the maximum amount for that grant to account for those changes that we've made.
And that's why I think what Ms. Fenton was indicating is that it would be helpful for that description to understand what those numbers are. Because if we're combined, let's just call it 5, I don't know what CIGAR stands for, but let's say we combine 5 grants.
So it stands for, you want to say it since this is your idea?
It's commercial interior grant for area redevelopment.
Love it.
Cigar.
And you want to tell them why the name cigar?
Yeah.
Cigar is homage to Tampa's history with the cigar factories and.
So how many grants were combined to create the cigar grant? Like how many of the individual smaller ones? I'm assuming there might be some things combined like the vanilla shell grant, the restaurant grant, things like that are combined. So if each one of those individually was under a $25,000 threshold, but we have a $75,000 maximum. But if each one of those things could have been approved individually, but now it's all under cigar and it's over, let's say, 25,000 or 50,000, then the extension, I think that's the problem. I think that's what causes an immediate delay, whereas that's what hurts a lot of businesses. That's why I'm hearing we're not getting utilization is because people say the time is going to kill me more than the money will. Like it's going to cost me more to wait. So one of the things that when we implemented and we talked about creating those smaller bite-sized grants that can be approved administratively was so that things could happen quicker.
But if I'm telling you that we are still going to approve them administratively, and I'm also telling you that annually we're going to evaluate those things and make sure that the needs that you're expressing are being met. And if they are not, then we will make changes. We will make changes to those grants.
Okay. I think there was just some concern that everything's happening March 21st and we're still but thank you for.
So now that cigar once again, commercial interior grant area redesign.
Commercial interior grant for area redevelopment.
For area redevelopment.
Yes.
All right. Is everybody going? Okay, I'm gonna leave mine out here. This is the issue.
I think you had a question. I don't know.
No, we going
okay.
Committee.
According to what they just said, I'm the only commercial person here, and I haven't had a chance to express.
Just wait a minute. Everybody get on my team. But if you want to go ahead, George, I'll
To answer the first question about underutilization, you addressed it, Vice Chair. Most of the businesses in West Tampa don't own their buildings, so we've been turned back from actually applying for the grants because we don't own the building, although we've been here since 2009. We don't qualify. And a lot of the residents, businesses in this area don't own the building. And we need access to improvements. My building, my barbershop, they're building the new cigar loft down there. We want to be able to market to them. We need a new signage. We can't afford to buy a sign. We don't have matching funds to pay for a sign so we can stand out so people will know we have a barbershop. We have to use old school methods. I have to put the barber sign pole on my wall so you'll know it's a barbershop. I can't put a sign in front of it. I can't get approval for any kind of assistance so I can be seen in the neighborhood. I can't get any assistance on improvements on the inside to upgrade my shop.
What she's saying, George, is that you'll have to get with the owner of the building.
I
and give you
understand.
an affidavit, and then you make the application for the grant.
Who do I need to speak to so I can get the information?
Well, they developing it, but what she said, what they'll do with people that don't own the property is that you'll get an affidavit from the owner to allow you to make an application for a grant to do that.
I understand that. But who do I talk to now?
We can't do anything now until the board, till it's approved by the board.
So you can't go until you approve, George.
Yes, you can keep in touch with our office. We have, and that's on, did you get a copy of the presentation? Yeah, on that second to last page, it has a link on there that takes you straight to the CRA website. There's a button that you can click on to schedule a consultation with anyone on our team. All right? And that's one of the things that we're trying to push. Like, we don't want it to be, you look, oh, this is what I want to do, and you just submit an application. We want to be more involved. We want to sit down and talk through your project. We will be the most informed on these grants and how to process them. You're going to be most informed on what you want to do with your property. So when we bring those two pieces to the table and we can talk about what you want to do, we can advise you on the best way to get the most out of the grants. So we want to work with you.
Did that answer your question, George?
Ooh, you got me.
All right, now, let me go down to
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. Can we just recognize the owners of Buck and Tiger right here?
Yeah, I mean,
The young lady.
go ahead, please.
Julia, go ahead.
Oh,
Grab the mic,
I'm also
please.
working to open a business in the area. I live on Union and lived here for a while.
Oh, here, I'll give her one.
I'm actually renting the property that is on Albany Bay behind the liquor store, with the food trailer.
That's my first barbershop.
Yeah, that's amazing. But, I've been going through the process of getting a commercial grant. I'm not a property owner, but we are working with our property owners to figure out a way to get the grant because I'm just, you know.
We can't exchange numbers. I just met the owner the other day when they were putting the fence up.
Yeah. He's amazing. But I think it's just communication, and if you need help with navigating how to get started on it, I've been helping out with Andrea, and she's working with us. It's been a really good experience, and I can, share that information piece with you, and also, get started on getting it.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
She answered this question.
Yeah, that's too good. See what I'm saying? That's what we do at West Tampa. See, we try to collaborate and work together here. Now, let me go with some logistics here. Now, I done heard all this here. First of all, Mrs. Erica Moody, let's get, it's residential in there. That's how we get the word out. The residential gonna be here. It's gonna be packed together. Now, let's make that happen next month. I hope. Because I'm gonna be on a special assignment the week before, that third week, so hopefully we'll get it done when I get back. How do these new grant programs?
Just a comment on the residential piece. We're working with City of Tampa's Housing and Community Development Department, so they will be here with us to present on the residential grants as well. We're working towards being here next meeting, and then if that changes, of course, I'll let you know, but HCD will be with us. The housing department.
All right, so how are these new grant programs different from the West Tampa CAC grant program? previously approved. And I think you said that you done cigar, okay? You done cigar, but you didn't get rid of them, you just practically condensed them, you consolidated them, whatever you want to call it, but they haven't gone away. And we won't know until such time that we see some paper to compare that. So I'll let the paper come out. What CAC has always used the best practices. I mean, we feel that the West Tampa CAC has always asked those questions. So you ask anybody in there, when I was chairing, or when, Carlos was chairing, we always, it made a lot of people upset because of delayed progress. But I was looking for those, where's that slide that says the best practices? After this circle slide there, when they had the best practices. And those best practices was that, number one, is it in the CRP? Is it in the, budget? Is it legal? But we always ask those on every grant we ever did, including the one over there for the community garden is still sitting there trying to grow something, okay? That, is it legal? Y'all know I always said, Morris Massey got to give us a opinion before we do it. And so did our chair, vice chair. Is it in the redevelopment plan? Is it aligned with the board's mission vision? And is it in the budget? And we always did that. So we never had that issue. So maybe other CRAs didn't do that, but we did that. Because when we do something, we want to make sure we're done. The other thing is, what about entities that cannot put or have, this was brought up by the community, what about entities that cannot put or have the capacity to put upfront land? There's some people in here tonight said, I ain't got no money to put up to get, a project going. How do we deal with that? Do we have some type of fiscal agency? Well, I understand legacy people like myself, but I'm talking about non-legacy, people that community organizations. So is it a community organization such as several of us represent nonprofit community organizations? Will those organizations be considered legacy organizations if we've been in the community providing services, or a real nonprofit that's incorporated and all that? Will we be considered legacy based on our time of working in the West Tampa area? Because we are, a lot of us are ex officio, and housing authorities ex officio, as soon as they get somebody over there. So us ex officio organizations may be applying for one of these grants, and we just have to pass the mic, walk out the room, because we can't vote by ourselves, but it can't happen. There's nothing saying that an organization sit there, they can't apply for one of these grants if there's a project that they qualify to provide an application to. So think about that these ex-official organizations may be eligible to apply for some of these grants we're talking about that are going to be universal. And will we be considered legacy nonprofits in this area doing work for the good of the community? Not just individual property owners, because a lot of grants sometimes are not applied by individuals, but they're applied by nonprofits, right? You can't exclude them. So let's think about nonprofits making grant applications as well. You got the West Tampa CDC I represent. You got you got a lot of corporations around here that are legal corporations. Now, the other thing is what about this? Can I get the professional service up front? You want to do some type of building modification. You want to do some type of modification, but you can't afford no engineer, architect to draw up some plans or schematics of the drawings. I think we came up with something where we were, I forgot what the term was, Mr. Vice Chair, where we would say, okay, soft money or something, soft cost could be given, can be reimbursed up front without the hope in order to get the project going.
We have an entire grant dedicated to that. Yes, we have considered. That's the pre-development grant.
Who?
The pre-development grant.
Pre-development grant. Boy, there's so many terms. So when we get all these grants, just please let this, see, we got a terminology we used since 2015 on the grants we developed. And now we're getting re-educated and, old dog, new trick here. They're learning these new names of these grants. So whenever y'all get these new names, these grants, please have a list of them and a specific, even the city, I didn't even see the city I broke out on me in this presentation what that meant. So that's why I got that. So that's something. All right, now here's the $1 million question. I want to see the applications. I want to see the dollar amounts for these maximum minimums, the qualification forms, the matrix that the administrative person will use, the checklist that they're going to use to approve this stuff. Because, my experience dealing with the city and dealing with all this here is that sometimes those applications and sometimes those checklists can be onerous and can defeat the purpose of a swimming bladder area going forward. Because the city is thinking on the legal side, the city is thinking about getting our money away just to anybody. And then if you start doing that and not being creative and listen to that crowd that was in here previously, you can have a train wreck in the happen. So I would request that before the 21st, and I assume that if you're gonna have backup materials for the CRA board meeting on the 21st, as soon as the CRA board, not city council, right?
Correct.
That information will be on the website on the 19th, that Tuesday, because the council has said and told the administration that they must have whatever's gonna be on the agenda well on for the public to review and not no walking on.
The intent is that all documents that would be submitted will meet the deadline that is in place for all of the board meetings.
Which would be Tuesday, because I would be on special assignment that whole week, Mr. Vice Chair, so we're not having a meeting unless you go tonight and have it on the 19th, which I will be here for. Okay, I will be here for that one, if it's the 19th, that Tuesday of that week. And maybe if we had that meeting, Ms. Benton, we might have some paperwork more so than we got tonight to look at before it go to the board that Thursday at 9 a.m. And maybe we could on ping, maybe be prepared to go down to city council to CRA meeting with some kind of intelligence of what we were doing. So that's why I was saying, because that following week will be after the 21st. And what I'm hearing is this thing is on a racetrack, and it could be on the 21st that they approve it. And we will have no more review of this our shot tonight. So we need to understand that if we don't move our date, which we gotta move the date, I mean, so we ain't moving the date, we just gotta mess and stand on. But we need to know what the paperwork say, and what I would say is this, Mrs. Erica Moody, that this is another way we'll do it. I'm gonna request as chair.
Can I just say one thing before you do that?
You said anything you want.
While the request would be for the board to approve, I think it's very unlikely that they will issue an approval on that day.
Well, I know politics around here.
Two God's ears.
I know politics.
I'm sorry?
Around here. We have to assume the worst.
I
That's why
understand.
we step aside ahead of the curve, we set the stand on these salaries.
But I anticipate the board will have things that they want to ask, or
Yeah.
I assure you, I doubt
But
that.
see, they could approve it and then come back to second reading or something else, but trust me, we going after this, that they gonna approve on 21st. That's my approach for it. We're gonna assume it's gonna happen, and we're not gonna have any input. So what I have to do is set up a mechanism so that doesn't occur, that we need to keep, get an idea. Because right now you have no other documents that in this presentation, which I requested, number one, this be put on the website for West End Salary. Two, I'm gonna request that on the 19th, whether we have a meeting or not, Ms. Erica Moody, that the documents that will be presented to the city CRA board on the 21st be sent to us.
Yeah, and distribute.
But let me finish, be sent to us. So that's a special request of this committee, and y'all gonna do that. And I think it's smart to send it to our email addresses, so we will have it. Okay, that's a special request, I think that can be done.
That's
Or
right.
send us a link
That's right.
to, there's a lot of documents, send us the link. And then that way, each individual just look for that 19th, that Tuesday, that there should be something on there, but by the end of the day, at least get a head start before that Thursday, when they gonna talk, whether they gonna approve it or not approve it, because we may wanna go down and say, hey, I got this opinion back, because we're not speaking, when we go down there, we're speaking for yourself, because unless we make a motion to somebody to speak on our behalf, we're speaking for the individual neighborhood association, whether we represent on the committee. So let's just establish that. Okay?
Sounds good. So we'll get that information, and then of course, everyone, if you do your homework and come ready for the discussion, we can make it more robust, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's all just because we got a little surprise tonight that we didn't have the residential. Now, my question is, since we haven't had the residential, is that going to the 21st too?
No.
So just the commercial, and I like, having been on the very first CRA in Tampa, all the way back to East Tampa, okay, the very first TBG, before there was CRAs. I like the rearrangement that's good. It's great. There's no issue with that. The issue is, one implementation, but this issue is the connect, everything I said, the connectivity, and getting all of this tied in and getting information out to everybody and getting everybody to buy in, including that audit you heard in here a little earlier, okay? And I think we have done pretty well at, we listen and we hear it. I wish they were here so I could explain to them that number one, Redmond Park is not a park. It's a piece of property we bought that the owner used to have as a park, but it's not an official park of the city of Tampa. And some people say it may not need to be a park, even though when we bought it, it bought with the intention of having a park. There's been some discussion, local around here, that maybe it need to be a building on it with retail on the first floor and apartments or something on the top floors, and as far as you go up in the sky, that's another option, because we got a park called South Cities Park. And I wish they were here so they hear that the reason that those parks are being wrapped around in this fence is because we got to do that for construction, because they're under construction. And the reason that we're doing both of them, because we want to get it over with. Because we've been waiting and waiting 2 to 3 years at least, Ms. Sanchez, to get these parks under construction. So yes, it's an inconvenience, part not dust, but we want the progress to be done. And we know that one Freedom Park, Virginia Park, is a piece of property we bought that may be a park if we go forward with that, but it may change based on changing circumstances, based on changing ideas. So I wish they were here to hear that. We're not trying to shut you down and keep you from getting in there, but we got some work to be done. We got to clean that up. And yes, it's a contaminated soil we know about on this brownfield, but we got to do what we got to do. This is going to be a while before that fence come down. We know that there's some schedule on, and I think that's bad that we get the Ray Park, they get trapped down there. They nothing to do over there for some stuff. So that's gonna be another thing. So hopefully South Cities will be back open before we start Ray Park. And then hopefully we'll get the start on that. It's just an inconvenience, is what it is. And I hope they're here so they can hear that. But it's not we're trying to keep anybody away. It's just that it's timing. We've been waiting, and we need to get something done. So that was it. All right, moving right along on the agenda. Is that it from your team? I think they did an excellent job putting up with us. Okay, I'm sorry, hold up.
Give us an opportunity, we're gonna grab the notepads, please.
Oh, you want to take a notepad back? Because I'm giving you something. Don't get that one sheet of paper. All right, now, let's get late in the hour. Now, we have, this is, thank you so much. So that brings us to an agenda, we go back to this, the meeting. Okay, I'm sorry, let me see, thank you for reminding. Someone in the audience that wanted to, you raise your hand, yes ma'am.
Is there a projected timeline when the parks can reopen across from the Freedom Parks?
When what now? It's gonna be, it's gonna be a while. Because it's not, they're not gonna open it back. What's happening is in the process of being stabilized by getting rid of the contaminated soil. So all of the trees and all of the benches, to my understanding, gonna be gone, right?
That's the next update.
the next subscript, so that we get our lady that's here for, construction.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get this meeting date changed, because that's on the next.
You want me to address that?
So let's talk about, since we have this girl here. Huh?
I'm here.
We have our senior project manager here.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that,
I
I
had
didn't
the
see
projects, I was gonna address it when it was my turn for the projects update.
All right, let's get this vote over with this meeting first. Okay, because she's gonna be here a minute talking about these projects, and she will address that date now. So, ma'am, you can just hold on a second, and I see Ms. Roy, you here, will you please come
Yeah.
up, you wanna say something?
Introduce
I mean,
and.
my ear was bent by changing this date, and I can't change no date, but can you explain what the delimited, we heard what it was, but then.
Yeah.
You're the person that's, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Brenda Thrower. I know some of you, some familiar faces around the CAC here. So I've been working in Ybor City for many, many years, decades actually. And I've been asked, I guess honored, to come over and maybe help out you guys and work with you as well. So I'm here. This is my challenge though. The challenge is I have 2 meetings on the same night. So we just recently moved to Ybor CAC. I don't know if y'all know, they were in a building on 7th Avenue. Met there for years. That's actually the building the grants team is, and that building is, we're moving. The whole office is moving. So we had to move those meetings. So we moved it to the Entrepreneur Collaborative Center, and it's on this evening. I was very, very limited on location and time, and and this, I actually asked what else is available, and they don't have anything except for like 2 in the afternoon or something, so it wasn't working. But so we then explored your meeting, which is this beautiful historic building, and there is availability. Keep it on a Tuesday, but just 1 week earlier to be. So you have the same day of the week, so to speak, but it's just on a different week. So if y'all are amenable to that, I'd love to work with you. I'd love to be here and support you and get some things done. Sounds like y'all want to get things done around here, and bring my expertise to the table. So that's where we're at today. We could arm wrestle with it because CACs, I just don't have location. We could try it here for a while and next year switch it back or something. I don't know, whatever works. Yes, ma'am.
I think some of us, I have a conflict of 30.
The third Tuesday?
Yes, I mean, I can come, but I'd have to leave at 6:30 for my 7 o'clock meeting. And you can see how our meetings go. So 6:30 would be worth me even coming. So it's a definite conflict. 3 years ago, I asked this group to change their date, and they did for me. I can't ask them to do it again.
Okay, no, that's fair. Now, we're trying to work with everyone and find the best date and time for everybody. And the load time can change too. I don't know if that's an option. I'll tell you, Ybor City meets at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's nice to have you here, and I'd really like to hear from Ms. Benson about the issue of having a separate person designated for West Tampa instead of having a combination of the two. But just like Ms. Sanchez, it would be a challenge, and it would be very difficult to change, even going to the 3rd week. Because we plan ahead and we do things, and I can't speak for anybody else here, but you try to sort of work around and make sure that we're here, So it's a little bit of a challenge, but to be quite honest with you, I just really feel someone else should be designated solely for West Tampa. I'm not in any way diminishing your contribution.
I understand.
Your background, but West Tampa is special, and this sort of equal share thing, I don't go for. So,
I wouldn't give you less love, I promise.
no, there's just so much, and there's so much going on in Ybor City, and I just feel that we deserve to have our own, with all these issues that are happening. We really need somebody here.
How about you come here and give someone else yours?
Yeah. That would be great. It's interesting because a lot of the issues that you're facing, and I hear, I've been sitting here listening to this meeting, and I drove over from Ybor, were issues that we went through 20 years ago. This is not new. A lot of these issues. I heard the overlay district. So it's not like
It's actually encouraging because I know that y'all are working on things that there could be some great synergies, but anyway, go, you wanted to say something?
I'll wait for the chair to recognize me.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say that we would be very lucky to have Brenda Thrower as our staff person. She is exceptional, the best of the best. So she knows how much I love her and respect her and know that she is totally committed to anything she does. However, I would like to hear from Ms. Aludi as to the reason. I understand an interim because of course you have to do certain arrangements, but I want to understand, is this going to be permanent? And if so, how would you come to that decision?
It is a budget decision, you're right. And, I'm looking for ways to keep our staff and to not, change their classification or have to reduce their pay because a majority of their job has been delegated out to these departments that have been established. So I want to keep them in their role at their pay and not demote them per se. So by doing that, we can find the synergies and cross-pollinate between the CACs, and all of the managers will support each other more. So you'll see Brenda, you'll also see some other managers come in, see how Brenda works, see how this CAC engages. So you're actually getting way more people with this. So like I said, a majority of the job has been established in these other departments, and really lifting up the community liaison, facilitation, being out here, you're gonna see Brenda in this community and finding, the best fit for the role. And I think Ms. Thrower, she's done it for years and years, you know this, and bringing in that historical aspect. So we really do believe that this is going to be a huge benefit to everyone to be able to bring this knowledge, to share it across the managers, and then I also get to keep my staff in their role without having to reclassify or essentially demote them from the changes of the restructure. So that is the honest answer.
I guess I'm trying to understand, and I know I'm just so frustrated, and I know it's showing. We've got a $29 million budget, and we can't have a full-time person that's not only communication and liaison, but could be an ombudsman that could go across all these different entities that we have, the grants, all of these. I'm sorry, Erica, I don't support this. I support Brenda 100%, but West Tampa needs its own full-time person. It needs its own full-time people in other capacities. We've got $29 million. I'm a broken record. One of the reasons things don't get done is we don't have enough people working on the projects.
And I hear you, and I receive that.
I'm totally frustrated.
And we've increased our capacity from 18 staff up to 23 staff. So we have more people. We're increasing our capacity. Manager Jesus Nino also oversaw Drew Park. So he was not just dedicated to West Tampa either. Even though it felt like it. So, the attention will change. You'll have more attention, you'll have more support, more staff, and the CRA has built more capacity. But I do completely understand where you're coming from. And I'll also add that a lot of the CRAs feel the same. Everybody wants their own dedicated staff, but if we can work across the board, it's going to just streamline and make things so much faster.
Well, let me just test that theory. Let me test that theory that I just heard. Mr. Thor is handling Wood City, West Tampa. Mr. Frederick McCray is handling East Tampa, Drew Park. Who's handling Central Park? Who's handling downtown? They got somebody handling both of those? Who's handling and then Tampa Heights? I think
Good question.
So they got one person handling two other. Is everybody that's in this girl position, a certain position, handling two salaries, that's the first person. And I think the equity question is blown out. I don't think that makes sense. Okay. They are. So the downtown CRA manager has always overseen 4 districts.
which is downtown, Channelside, Central Park, and Tampa Heights,
Okay.
and done effectively at it. And we look at, what are the business activities of that district and what makes the most sense.
Okay, what about so he's got Tampa Heights too?
Mhm.
So we got Tampa Heights, everything downtown Tampa Heights, okay, and then Sarah again, this is Florida County, so we got 3 people handling all of the CRAs.
That's
Now,
right.
Okay, go back in the sanctuaries, I think he was moving over there.
Yeah. It's just a question of, you know how frustrated we have been. The West Tampa CAC is frustrated because we've had this money and we can never get anything through. It isn't like it's just one, or projects are just kind of sneaking up on you. We have a lot of projects that haven't gotten to second base. And I think it's too much to expect one person to split that, especially with all the frustration this CAC has had of moving things forward. And that's why I understand what Jeanette is saying. If we want somebody that's devoted to us to help us move these things forward.
Well, let me just say to that next. That's why Mrs. Martinez is sitting in the room. Okay? Is Martinez?
Yeah, you're right, you're right.
Ms. Martinez is sitting in the room because she's gonna be chasing these projects and pushing them, which we didn't have a person doing it. That's different. And she's doing that to the point that I think you commented about, she's pushing so damn old, so that. So that's one thing that's different. My question is this, and I hear everybody, and I hear you saying, my question is this, it appears that other managers are handling 2 or more. Okay, so that's nothing new. The question becomes, if this committee say, well, we can't change our date from what we're doing the 4th Tuesday at 5:30, what happens, Mr. Irvin?
We'll have to work that out. Well, I'd like to explore it.
I
Is it a
understand, but
possibility?
I'm not getting the feeling that the sanctuary said that she would never be here. If she did.
I have a conflict too, I can't
All right, so
We can do another
I can feel votes in the room, and even though I haven't taken one, I know most made. So I'm asking, what happens? What happens? At least if they don't want a consensus to change the time of the day. Now, I'm just saying, what's the alternative? I'm not hearing a motion coming before, so let's change it. What happens?
Well,
It's not fair to store it and
look
then-
at our
What
options. I mean, is there another, can we open up the discussion? Is there another date? Is there another time? Just trying to be flexible, but it's not just about the CRA manager, having our project manager or our grants team, they just can't be in 2 places at once. Like this is, we just have to work towards a solution and figure out what that looks like.
But why Eagle City can't change this? Why we have to be the one that change?
That was gonna be my question.
You have downtown, Tampa Heights or whatever, they're not blighted like West Tampa and East Tampa. Those 2 CRAs need more attention. We all know that, and we know the reason why. Because of neglect all through the years, so we don't have to play dumb about why. So why do we have to always be the one that compensates somebody else? That's my problem.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, I mean,
yeah, Brenda.
Listen, I wish I could be in 2 places at one time. I wish I could clone myself, but there's options. I mean, I will definitely look again for the EBOR meeting dates. We're at the ECC, they're extremely busy. We locked into that date and I was lucky to get it. Actually, one of the dates I have to move, which we were able to accommodate on the 4th Tuesday. There is, we could do it on a Wednesday, we could go out any other day. I mean, it's just, the irony is, you're in a building that can accommodate date changes. I'm in a building, an EBOR, that doesn't have any options for us. That was kind of the situation we ended up in. But we want to work with y'all, and we obviously have to work something out because we're staff and we have to support you. But back to the way things used to be versus the model, because I've lived through it. Jeanette's lived through it. She's been in these shoes. The model before was siloed by district, right? So you had the West Tampa manager, Drew Park manager, doing it all. doing the grants. I ran grant programs in Ybor. I ran projects. We did it all as a team. This new, and it's a change. They've changed it up so that it's going to be streamlined. So now you've got this project team. So the new model, I don't think we've all given it a chance to see how it's going to work. And I think, and I'm one, okay, I don't come with the old model. I'm the one that should say, oh no, I don't want to change. Actually, I'm encouraged by it. I see how this can work. If y'all don't know, I'm the upright president this year for Florida Redevelopment Association, so I connect to a lot of other districts. I see a lot of different models. This model that we're going into is working very successfully in other areas. So it's not, there's a lot of moving parts here, but what I'm saying, the only thing you can embrace in life is change. And sometimes we just have to change and do something different and try it. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. But I want to help y'all. I'm actually excited about being in West Tampa. I see so many bones. I mean, just walking to this building tonight was like, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. But I mean, I would love to work with you, but if you don't want that, I understand that too.
It's not a matter of you working, it's a matter of inconvenience to people's schedule that have them scheduled the fourth Tuesday of the month for the last 8 years. So it's not you, it's not that we don't want you, we highly want you. We want the other people to change their location, change their time.
Maybe put them in this building and put y'all over there. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
My question is really for Ms. Moody. In light of what Ms. Jones just said, in terms of being slum and blighted, did you ever consider Mr. McCray being in charge of both the East Tampa CRA and the West Tampa CRA?
Yeah, of course, yeah, we definitely looked at that, and East Tampa is the largest CRA in the state of Florida, and they have a lot of needs, so I did not feel confident that you would be able to get the level that Brenda could bring you, especially Brenda specializes in historic districts, has a passion, has heavy experience. So I really think bringing this as an asset and splitting East Tampa and West Tampa, they're just two very large endeavors, and it's going to need some dedication. But we did look at that, and you will see Mr. McCray come over here as well and help shadow and support. Yeah, so he'll be taking on the Drew Park district, which is much smaller, and that context is more industrial. And East Tampa has residential, and then also looking at building the industrial. So we took an industrial lens with that decision and took more of a historical lens with this one.
So what happens to this store goes over there? Who comes to the meeting?
I'm always here for you. But we do have the CRA managers. And one thing that I have not mentioned because it's still pending is I'm looking at building in almost like a senior CRA manager to help provide support to all of the CACs. So I am still working on some more staffing enhancements that, just aren't ready to be officially rolled out yet.
Let me ask you a question. You said, I think I heard that you was got a budget restriction, that you couldn't change somebody's title, and you didn't want to lose this now. But we don't want to sit here authorizing the money. If we want to spend more money to get what we want, which is good service and the person we want, why can't we throw that out on the table? And say that we were willing to commit more money to the budget for West Tampa to get what we want. We can do that. Yeah, we can do that. That's what I'm saying. There ain't no limit on us saying what we want, and we willing to put our money behind it, and we're gonna tell the board that's what we want. So if it's an issue of salary changing that, don't put that as a limit on what was, but ain't no limit on no budget. I mean, as I see it from West Tampa, we can allocate more money. Just like we said that, or else maybe the solution might be we might have to hire a consultant. You know what I mean? We got $100,000 in there for a consultant. That has experience, historical districts, that's alternative now. I'm just saying. Right now, I mean, let me just do this so we can bring this to land this plane here. If there's any consideration, let me get your attention down there, Mr. Jones. Is there any consideration to changing the day of the month, the week of the month, the time, or anything with the West County CAC meeting that is now held at 5:30 on the 4th Tuesday of the month. Is anybody here willing to go down that? I see one hand raised for discussion.
No, I have a question,
Go ahead, ask what you
I'm
want.
trying to understand, in other words, the people that have conflicts, that is a conflict, a standing conflict for every meeting? Like I have some meetings I could do, some I couldn't because of other, but are your conflicts standing for that 4th Tuesday always? Or the Wednesday, the third Wednesday?
Mine's pretty much set in stone, just like my budget meetings on the fourth.
I mean, yours is a constant, every month you have that recurring conflict, okay.
On the third Tuesday.
Does anybody else have a constantly recurring third Wednesday, third Tuesday?
5 months out of the year, I'm out of the country 5 months out of the year on that third week.
Okay, so you have a pretty substantial.
Any day of the third week, you go.
Mine's just 2 or 3 of them.
Can we go Wednesday?
Wednesday?
Hold up, y'all get done,
Is there another day in the fourth week that works for everybody? Is it a Monday, is it a Wednesday, or?
I could do any day in the 4th week, I think.
All right, okay.
Tuesday
Let's
actually is
start, this look like we got a conversation, so this is important, so Mr. Williams.
I'm willing to make some changes in schedule, not necessarily the third Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think it's just send out
I was just gonna say, we need
one of those
to.
surveys and see what we can do. I'm open to that. Regarding us having to change to somebody else, I understand the buildings pick it up. I think we have a lot of work that we need to do in West Tampa. We cannot let her go or a price stand in the way. We need to move forward, find a date, just start doing the work. I think we've spent way too much time on schedules, on this and that. Let's just pick a date, move forward.
Well, that takes somebody to make a motion and a second.
I just really wanted to make one little comment about how impressed I have been with the progress that Ybor has made. Ybor looks great, but you can't just look at that. You have to understand that there was a lot more institutional and corporate investment in Ybor than there has been in West Tampa. So you guys had a whole lot of help. You did a beautiful, I mean, it looks good, but, and I'm impressed with the speed with which things have happened. But there's been a new hotel over there, there's new, lots of new businesses, and we don't have that. We are gonna have a hotel, I think, on Howard, which is really gonna be great. But, there's just been a lot more institutional investment in Ybor because it's a tourist destination. And it's a national landmark, and it's a big deal. So cool, that's wonderful. You've done a beautiful job, it looks great. I'm really, really proud of that. But I just feel like we have less resources here. And for us to have them to share a person, I don't know, the sharing a person, I'm willing to try it. I just can't do the proposed.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a
motion. Let me listen.
I'd like to make a motion that staff prepare a matrix of dates so that we can each enter our availability, and then hopefully there'll be one date that is the most accommodating to the most people. That works.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? So this matrix is gonna be based on a survey. So the survey is gonna say the week, the day of the week, and the time. You got to say that, right?
Well, I mean, I would expect it would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because nobody wants to do Monday.
First week, second week, third week.
No, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every single week of the month. And then you put in what your availability is, and those check marks are gonna line up at some point, hopefully, with a date where the most people are available. It's like tic-tac-toe.
Fill in the time that we're available to have this meeting. The time as well? That what y'all saying?
I think we should
This-
take
this
it.
time?
So we have a motion on the table and a second.
Like, you'll get like a survey, it's called survey, but it'll take all your information, all your availability.
Well, I'm saying, but I just wanna make sure what the
Yeah,
applicant said,
yeah.
includes the, I'll be able to pick the date, the week, and the time.
And I would suggest to see when this place is available or any other place that we
Yeah.
don't have.
Well,
time
since we
to-
don't know that going into this survey, so if we have a survey that we match up, and then we can't get the building, then what?
I'm sorry.
We'll look for the
We
building.
may have a survey that says we want a date, but we can't get the building, then what?
That's why I said to pick.
The building.
So they gotta just show us the availability of the building?
The building's like another person almost.
So that'll be blocked out, but you can't pick that time.
We won't offer anything that's not available. How's that sound?
Sounds good. At this building.
At this building, if y'all prefer here, that's fine, yes. And it'll be something like a survey with a doodle, which is, it's very simple. You just kind of check the boxes and then we can go from there.
Okay, let's solve that, so let's move on. And when will that be done? Because we got a meeting coming up.
We gotta vote on it.
Huh?
We gotta vote on it.
Well, I'm asking, when will that be done?
Yeah, by Friday.
By Friday.
Ideally,
This
We'll
Friday.
follow up, we'll send the agenda, we'll send the presentation that you saw today, and we'll also send the doodle and the link as well.
By this Friday.
At that next
You can have
meeting,
it by Friday?
we'll have,
That'll be my goal. I'll do it by Friday. Now, the results of the survey, okay, we can send out to everyone. And I don't think you have to, well, can't wait for a meeting to have it. You need to come and make a decision. So we'll talk to the chair. Is that good with y'all?
Yeah.
Chair? Make the decision on the date, which will probably be, hopefully be unanimous.
It works, whatever works for the
Okay,
majority.
everyone will vote. Okay. Thank you so much. And I look forward to working with you guys.
Let's make sure, see, let me just explain our last word.
And perfect.
It could be a tie. Some people may not fill out the survey, there's people right here like Tina, not here, Walter's not here. Okay, so I hear what y'all saying, but it ain't that simple.
But they address that, the absentee.
We'll reach out to everyone. Y'all don't
Make
call
sure
each
that
other.
we get- Including the Tampa Housing Authority person, that I believe is gonna be Mr. What's his name? No, the other guy. Oh, the governor.
Okay, yeah, let's be real clear. The survey can only go to who's on the CAC today, okay, until they're appointed. I know there's a mentioning.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
So let's do whoever's on, we'll reach out to each of you. Y'all don't call each other, please. And, we'll get that.
No, we can't talk to each other.
You can't talk to each other.
So,
Not even about
that's why I'm trying to get all this out now. Okay, so let's see what happens, and if not, in the meantime, until such time that it's been decided that we got a new date, the date is still gonna be the fourth Tuesday of next month. Okay, I'm just making that announcement, the meeting is still the fourth Tuesday, I'm not mad at anybody, but we gotta have a date meeting here, and right now, the date is the 26th, I believe it is. It says it even on here, it says the 21st here, but the 20, it would be the 26th, it's to be determined, and right now, I'm determining without the survey before we leave, that until such time the survey is done, and ratified and all that, that it will be the 26th, that's the vote. That for 1, 2, 3, 4, the 26th of March is the meeting until we get the survey, and then it comes to the chain officer. I think we're gonna beat that down, right? Okay, all in favor of the motion? I'm sorry, Mr. Basin.
I was about to say something, go ahead.
Yeah, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passed. All right, Ms. Basin?
I want to make a motion for the community. One of the persons in the community asked about if we could schedule a meeting just for them. Am I wording this right, so they can get this?
That's your motion.
That's my motion, yes.
We have, every meeting we have is open to the public. They're all invited.
Yeah.
I think they want a meeting where we just discuss it.
They want a meeting that they can
They
express.
wanna meet where they can be on the agenda. So,
Yes,
open
yes.
community discussion of issues that, like they brought up, they don't want the 3 minutes, they want to actual on the agenda item for community open forum, I guess you call it.
I think there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of misinformation, which you can't blame on the folks because they're not here, but I think they sort of look at us as a CAC as, you know, the bad guy or the city or this and that, and I think we could get a lot of insight from the people in the community if they understood what our role actually was. And I'm happy to be a part of it, even if it's a different day, but.
And then thing also, like, a lot of the stuff that they should hear is at the end of the meeting, like the Martinez meeting, but like the Martinez part, that will like sort of like get rid of that misinformation. So they understand like again, like, oh, okay, and when the grants are coming, we probably need to have the grants presentation first.
I agree.
Before we open it up for public comments, so they get to hear the presentation, and then we get to add some good comments from the community. And like, so they hear all of that. So having public comments, like they voice their frustration, but they don't get to hear the result. The same thing about Millennium Park. Every time we heard the Millennium Park,
Close the street.
Open the street, we talked about that. And you have it like, you know, it's on your list of things to be working on. So they can hear all the work that we're doing first before we open up for comments. I think of like, solve a lot of those issues.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Timing of it, I don't know.
I think we need to remember that we are representing groups of people. Everybody in this committee represents a group of people. I take the information that I get here, me and Cynthia, we both take this information and we send it to our neighbors. We have a neighborhood meeting, we have a section in the neighborhood meeting, the agenda that talks about the CRA things. The community is not getting the information because we are not giving it to them.
That's right.
So we have to go out and we have to make sure that we go to our representative groups and tell them what is going on. Now, regarding the meeting that we're talking about, I think this is a good opportunity for us to have some face-to-face time. If we have organizations that don't meet with the community, this is a great time for us to be and talking to the community and getting their ideas. Now, if there's misinformation, this is a great opportunity to say, you know what, that's a great idea, and we discussed it at last week's meeting. This is what we will do.
And I purposely did not respond to the comments because I knew that it's gonna be a long conversation, and I didn't want a few minutes to go, long, but I feel we get to the end.
But we have a lot of things in our agenda, and unfortunately, we don't get to these things that the community is concerned about till the end. So having a special meeting once a quarter or something like that, where we can invite everybody. Again, we take the invitation to our respective groups and have everybody come in, and then we can talk.
So am I hearing a motion that in April we do that?
If I could add to it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I really like that idea, and especially as we establish the new programs, you know, and I'm thinking of like an open house or a meet and greet or something where the community can come and get to know us and CAC and what we do. We can have people signing up for grants right there. It could be more of an outreach effort. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I do like
Because we got
where
this
that's
whole
going.
process we gotta go through, okay?
Yeah.
But this is one of them that is open process, you understand?
I went to the band, neighborhood get-together. And it was so productive, it was really great, because I met somebody who's doing a community garden on Linebaugh, you know, like way out of our neighborhood, but I learned a lot from her, and it was really helpful. So I think that's a really good idea, to invite people in that are doing different things.
So
in our neighborhood.
this will be like a meet your CRA.
I'll cater it.
Right?
Oh, I like that.
Because a lot of us don't, you know,
I think we need to make it about them.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, if we want to have, like you said, a meet and greet, not just necessarily because it's a CRA meeting, as much as it's informal. We have talked about on and off about we had a terrible time communicating with this neighborhood. We do not communicate for many reasons. Lots of it has to do with the way we do our advertising. For 3 years, we have asked about Wi-Fi for West Tampa, free Wi-Fi for West Tampa, so you don't see people sitting on the stairs at the West Tampa Library using their Wi-Fi. For 3 years, that has not moved forward, and that's one of the problems. Or Mrs.
Martinez.
No. Thrower.
Me?
Ms. Thrower.
Hi.
This
one page, whatever, of updates on projects is nothing. We have 7 or 8 more pages of projects that we have talked about, okay? We need